Alrighty, folks, I'm here. Welcome on in to the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. We are live once again. How is everybody doing this morning? How is everybody doing this morning? No solidarity forever today. Morning. Wow. What makes you think you could go after Daddy Mold? You already failed going after Destiny like you failed? Holy shit, it's so funny. Holy shit, they're so funny. Oh, Asmod's friend leaked his CSAM bookmark, so great day. Wait a minute, what? Like you did running for office. That is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I think one of my favorite things about Destiny and Asmongold is that I don't even really need to insult them that much. I just have to speak the truth about them. And they get so fucking mad. Tier 4 mold sub. I'm sobbing. Yeah. Yeah. Daddy mold. Asmongold. Okay, people are telling me that Asmongold said, can you guys link this to me? Asmongold said you gotta hide your CSAM on another computer? Wait, Lakari? What did Lakari do? Lakari accidentally links his notepad with downloaded links to very suspicious file names. Oh, he pulled a Vosh? He pulled a Vosh? Who the fuck is Lakari? Who, I mean, he is a content creator that's in that kind of Austin, you know, show, not Austin show, but the Austin, Jesus Christ, the Austin OTK Greater Asmongold group, the Austin streamer group, I guess I should say, not Austin show. Jesus Christ, your stream room looks amazing. Thanks, buddy. Not Austin show. Jesus Christ. DHS funding vote today and Dems can't stop. Who cares? Can stop. Who cares? Oh, there are certain leftists who refuse to win battles in the culture. If you want people to listen to you, you have to have credibility with them. Don't you understand that? Don't you understand that the number one reason, like the way that I am attacked, you can see it in the chat. It's not your ideas are wrong. I don't agree with you. Your arguments are poor. It's you are this. What did they do to Hassan? It's not your arguments are wrong. Your policies are bad. It is he's a dog collar shocker. It's made up. It's a complete lie. He's a dog abuser, guys. That's the strategy. It's called credibility. We talk about this on the stream a lot, so maybe you didn't hear about it. Ethos, pathos, logos. Ethos being your credibility, why anybody should listen to you. And if you don't understand the utility of attacking our enemies' ethos, when that's literally all they do, all right, you could attack me all you want, but you're not allowed to attack other chatters. That's against the rules. What does that have to do with the lack of pressure on Akeem Jeffries to whip the votes against DHS funding? You think that I should ignore Asmongold advising people to hide child pornography to only talk about Hakeem Jeffries, who I have talked about? In fact, I was the first person to bring him up in the entire online space. I was the first fucking commentator in the entire online streaming space who knew who Hakeem Jeffries was, who highlighted him way ahead of time 5 fucking years ago before Nancy Pelosi ever stepped down. You're telling me about Hakeem Jeffries? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, guys? Like, again, you gotta get better at this. You gotta get better at this. Gotta get better at this. I think part of it is you want me to talk about something, and so you're trying to wrap it into some sort of like utility for the left, when it's like, first of all, I am gonna talk about it, obviously, but you gotta, oh.
Let me at least add way to the list of champions.
Hi, how Americans got so deranged they can't see Trump as a clown. We Europeans can't understand. What the fuck are you talking about? You guys elected Boris Johnson. You guys elected Emmanuel Macron. You elected, like, what are you talking about? Europeans, you're electing all sorts of dumb shits. You've been electing fascists like Trump in Europe for decades. What are you talking about? Maloney. You can't compare them to Trump. The only difference between them and Trump is they're just puppets. They're puppets of America, but they are the same politician. They just don't have power like Trump does. We got enough people at my job here in Minneapolis to have our business closed all day Friday. Oh yeah, that's something that I want to talk about. All right, so we should definitely be going after Asmongold. What exactly, how should we put it? Now that people are telling me not to do it, I'm going to do it for the entire stream. So sorry, but we're going to do that. What's so unique about Trump? There's nothing unique about Trump.
Asmon messaged me, said, bro, you need a separate PC for that stuff. Oh my God.
Why is this downvoted? Why is this downvoted? Why the fuck is this downvoted? You don't think people want to know that Asmongold is telling people to hide child pornography? To be frank, to Asmon, he probably just read the headline. Why are people writing shit like this? Why are you writing cope like this? He told him, have your child porn on a separate computer. Why are you acting like he didn't know that? I don't think he realizes what is about to happen to him. It's funny for now, but that main thread has 1K upvotes. This is after being deleted 3 times. Is LSF trying to cover up child pornography leaks? Crazy seeing how Asmongold haters jump on the opportunity to make the worst bad faith assumption possible of him. Feel like 4 hours and it's past midnight. He most likely had no idea what Lakari actually leaked. Why do you guys say shit like this? He messaged him and said, put it on another computer. If it's just porn, you don't have to put it on another computer. Like, what are you talking about? Check Asmon's second PC. Exactly. Glad we're all collectively giving Asmon the benefit of the doubt. He's generally a good guy. He's just an idiot sometimes. The bar for right-wingers being good guys is not having CSAM on their computers. Actually, he's recommending how to hide CSAM to someone who's just been caught leaking it, and they're calling him a good guy. Wow, that's interesting. Live stream fail is so botted.
Let me at least
That's
add,
crazy.
Why would you stream it?
Actually, Miskip linked it.
Nice.
By the way, chat, if this guy should go to prison for this. You understand that, right? Like, if he has actual child pornography, you could go to prison for that, and a lot of people do. And you know what? Miskiff should fucking sue him. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, Miskiff should fucking sue him.
That is absolutely defamation, and I will be suing you for that.
Ghost put those. Okay, first off, you're a fucking retard.
Idiots.
Because the files weren't on my PC.
You literally just called me a pedophile. If you don't think I'm suing you, Lakari, for everything you just have, you're fucking out of your mind. That's insane what you just said. Insane. That you just fucking called me a pedophile.
I'm joking about it. What the fuck, dude? What are you just writing your own? You're just writing your own narrative, man. What the fuck else do you want me to do? What do you want to do? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't do anything.
Lakari leaked a notepad that had a bunch of files for apparently child pornography and underage girls. Asmongold tells him not to tells him to use files on different computer. This is what happened so far, according to Lakari. Now, I don't think Lakari has actually shown the DMs, has he? Did Lakari show the Asmongold DMs? Or did he just say that Asmongold said that to him? Because I don't, as much as I hate Asmongold, I'm not going to say that he definitely said that unless I see the actual DMs. Because this is a pedophile, and it would be crazy of me to give him complete credibility, right? Like, you can't trust a pedophile's word. Why are so many Chud streamers that end up being completely depraved? Because to be a conservative, you have to be a peasant-brained sadist. That's why they fixate on domination and hierarchy, because they have a fear-based brain and they're not usually very intelligent. So once you start understanding people that are fear-based or not intelligent, they tend to also have other comorbidities that go along with that. Between the lolly VTubers, Rape Tones, lolly fetish, Epstein, there's way too many people close to Asmongold that are pedos. Well, not only that, the whole circle's content is based around being weird and predatory to women. It's weird how normalized it is in this space too. It's not even just women. It's also very young women. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's young, naive women. Power actually atrophies your ability to feel empathy among the collective. I wrote about this. I mean, I think the longer you go, the more you realize why Mao and Stalin were so were so harsh against right-wingers, right? Now, a lot of what happened was exaggerated, but when you see people that are literally pedophile rapists, if you actually study the Chinese Civil War, like some of these warlords would just like decapitate people for fun or rape an entire family. And just, you know, that's what the right wing was doing. The reason why Mao won is because he said, hey, we're not going to do that shit anymore. We're going to treat you like a human being. And millions of people flocked to his banner. Like landlords in China, like people think of landlord and then they think they mean like, oh, you know, the guy that you send a check to for your apartment. No, landlords in China would like feed on human flesh and rape children and get paid get paid in people's children. Like these people were beyond what you could possibly imagine evil. Lakari finds out lolicon is illegal in Texas. Is having hentai on your PC in Texas illegal? No. Oh, okay, guys. They're going with Grok. He's Grok. Depicts adult or clearly adult appearing characters to explicit situations, which falls under general obscenity laws, but is typically protected under the First Amendment for private possession of adult material between consenting adults. Texas obscenity statutes criminalize distribution or promotion of obscene material in certain contexts, like selling or displaying to minors, but private possession of adult pornography, including most hentai, is not a crime. However, the situation changed significantly if the hentai involves depictions that appear to show minors under the age of 18, such as lolicon or shotacon content. Since September 1st, 2025, Texas Senate Bill 20, now codified in Texas Penal Code Section 43235, created a new state jail felony offense for knowingly possessing, accessing with intent to view, or promoting obscene visual material that appears to depict a child engaging in sexual conduct. Explicitly includes lolicon. Whoops-a-daisy! Whoops-a-doopsie-daisy!
Bro, you need a separate PC for that stuff. Oh my god.
Before people start saying sus, I'm pretty sure Asmund doesn't realize how bad Lakari's notepad leak is. What? The propaganda that they're going with. The propaganda that... Can you imagine if Hassan messaged Lakari that? Do you think people would go, guys, I'm pretty sure Hassan doesn't know how bad the links are. He didn't know, guys. He was instructing someone to access their child porn on a different computer, but he just didn't know it was child porn. Asmund said kit creators get bot downvotes on anything negative that gets posted on Reddit and vice versa. Reddit is actually the worst platform on the planet, and that's why it's becoming less and less relevant. Can I just say that? Like, Reddit is becoming less relevant because it's so botted and so inauthentic that people just don't go there anymore. And it's just like, god damn.
43K!
I swear I saw a copy pasta years ago, probably on 4chan, of someone parroting the way streamers talk, live streaming their own downfall over some pedo shit. Holy fuck.
Oh my fucking god.
What can you even say? What can you even say?
Why would you stream
Lakari's moderators are scattering. Not even his friends believe him. One of the things that's really interesting about a live stream fail is you can see when a real controversy is existing and how little actual activity is on the webpage. One of the major streamers on Twitch gets leaked CSAM files and you're getting like 1,000 upvotes.
Joking about it.
It's because nobody's botting this up. Nobody's botting this up. All right, chat. I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but I actually want to talk about real news. The title doesn't contain Hasanabi. Yeah. Anything involving Hassan happens. 20K upvotes, 4,000 comments, streamer leaking CSAM. Yeah, because the website is actually just bots now. They killed it. Do you have time to talk about discourse around a solidarity general strike in Minnesota? Yeah, we're going to talk about it, chat. In Minnesota, they are planning a one-day general strike. Now, personally, if you're asking me, I don't think you should ever announce the end of the strike in advance if you're going to do a strike. But I think it's a good idea to get the practice in, right? We're getting the practice in. So doing a day as like a tester, as like, hey, if this keeps up, the feeling against ICE is going to, continue to grow. So it is getting pretty crazy. ICE says its officers could forcibly enter homes during immigration operations without judicial warrants. This is fucking crazy. Now, if you listen to what people like Asmongold have been saying, it makes perfect sense, because they've been saying that unless you're an American citizen, you don't have any rights. The Constitution does not apply to you. That's what they've been saying. So if ICE says, well, I think you're not a citizen, well, then suddenly I guess your constitutional rights don't apply. And you can. So what if I have a roommate who's not American, but they have a green card? Am I supposed to check everybody's papers, by the way? Is that my role now? My rights are forfeit? And so basically, here's what I would say to this. If somebody breaks into my home without a warrant, I'm going to defend my home. Like, it's just that simple. Like, if somebody is kicking down the door and they're wearing masks and they're saying, I don't have a warrant, but I can come in here anyway. I mean, people are going to defend themselves. And this is why this is bad. Because it's not only is it against the Constitution, the reason why it's in the Constitution is it's one of the reasons our founding fathers, so-called, fought the revolution. Because English officials would just go into people's shit and violate their rights with no probable cause. And so we fought a fucking rebellion against it. So if where is the don't tread on me guys? Where's the black helicopter guys? Where's the NRA guys? I thought they were in favor of the Constitution.
And this just into our newsroom in the last half hour. According to a memo from the acting ICE director obtained by the Associated Press, immigration officers can enter homes without a judicial warrant.
That has been a part of a big conversation. This is something that we have been following over the past month as Operation Metro Surge has been taking place here in Minnesota. So let's bring in Randy Meyer with more. Randy, what's the latest?
Well, this is a bit of a surprise, I'll be honest with you. The memo was shared by a whistleblower with the Associated Press. It apparently hasn't been widely shared within the Department of Homeland Security, however, but it has been used to train new ICE agents. This is how it reads. The guidance is a sharp reversal of long-held understanding by the public and others, including the media. In the past, it is believed agents need a judicial warrant to enter homes no matter what. But according to this memo, federal agents are now authorized.
Hold on, chat. My audio is super fucked again.
Been authorized to use administrative warrants to enter homes and arrest someone, and this is the important part, who has a final order of removal. Now, for years, immigration advocates and legal groups have urged people not to open their door unless they are shown a warrant signed by a judge, which is the judicial warrant. The difference between a judicial warrant and an administrative warrant is the judge's signature. Apparently, this isn't new. The memo was signed by acting ICE Director Todd Lyons in May of last year, saying in part, although DHS has not historically relied on administrative warrants to arrest aliens subject to final orders of removal, the office has recently determined the Constitution, the Immigration and Nationality Act, and immigration regulations do not prohibit relying on those administrative warrants for that purpose.
Okay, so here's kind of my general feeling. If somebody kicks down to my house without a warrant, then they are not lawfully entering the house. It's an attack, and that's that. I don't know what else to say. This is against the plain text of the Constitution. I mean, it's right there. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's in the plain text. It's in the plain text of the amendment. And notice that it says the right of the people. It doesn't say the right of U.S. citizens alone. It says people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effect. I mean, it's as clear as day.
Officer and choosing to still go door to door to people's houses when shit like the nastiest angle trend is going on TikTok and on Instagram for that matter. If you don't know what that trend is, it's a trend where people show you exactly where they would post up if they saw the trend started with ATF as like the agency, like kind of as a callback to I think like Waco or Ruby Ridge. But now it's being done about ICE, and it's people showing spots in their house where they can absolutely hide their full body and the barrel of a gun. And they're showing you, like, if you were to walk in this entryway, I would be able to see you full sight and I'd be able to take you out. And it's the captions of these videos are not vague. They're like, I saw one where a guy was like, I could easily get 2 or 3 before they get me. Like, that's the energy, man, that like that your workplace has created is where people are willingly posting videos of themselves on the internet being like, yeah, if you come to my house, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And like, the hiding spots are good. The hiding spots are good. Like, some of these hiding spots, when the video starts and it's panning around.
That's not a good angle. That's not a good angle, sir.
I'm like, where is the shooter? I have no idea. And then the light flashes and I'm like, oh, I'd be dead. I'd be dead for sure. I cannot imagine being an ICE officer and choosing to still go door to door to people's houses when shit like the nastiest angle trend is going on TikTok and on Instagram for that matter. If you don't know that trend,
this seems like a stolen video. Why would you link me the stolen video and not the actual guy? I'm a content creator. Why are you linking me stolen links instead of the actual guy? You realize that that's gonna piss me off a lot, right? It's like, come on, dude. Find the actual person who made the video instead of some fucking slop farmer stealing it.
Yes.
I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more sexual.
Wow.
But it's a lucky thing I had my pieces.
Your pieces?
My guns.
Oh. Wow.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
Wow.
Bang! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed. Then they ran away. I ran after them.
Okay.
Bang! Try to shoot them in the back. But I don't run so good either. Anyway, you guys all think I'm a hero, and I'll accept that responsibility.
Now, weren't you concerned, though, that an innocent bystander may have...
Crime in this city is out of control. Thank God I went down to Gunther's Guns and picked up a spare. I don't think one would have done it. I'm going to go out and buy some more.
Okay.
And I think you should, too.
That's basically my stream now.
Oh, Shirley. It's illegal for the government to ask you for papers.
Ain't nobody gonna tread on me.
Oh, tread me. Oh, Shirley. It's illegal for the government to ask you for papers or come into your house. Come into my house. Oh, come into my house. Here are my papers. Oh, my papers are right here.
Ain't nobody gonna tread on.
Actually, unironically, this is how you should be going after them. This is unironically a good post. This is how you should be going after right-wingers. This is actually extremely persuasive as well, because you are making an argument. You're not just calling them dumb pieces of subhuman trash, which of course they are, but you're also making an argument and they have no response.
Sticker. Punish me, Daddy. It means I'm a part of an elite group who takes matters into his own hands. Oh, punish me. Oh, punish me. You know why I have that Punisher sticker?
Now, there's a little bit of homophobia here. There's a little bit of latent homophobia here, but here's what I would say. I like gay guys, man. Like, do what you do. Live your life in freedom. There's nothing wrong with that. They're all closeted. They're all closeted conservatives, and they're all, how do I put this? They're struggling with it, okay? That's where their hate comes from. And like, look at all the major content creators for the alt-right. They're non-white, closeted guys. They look at somebody like Austin Show or Christian, and they're like, oh my God, those guys are living their authentic lives unafraid of being bullied or attacked. And they're humiliated. And that turns into hate because they can't live the way they want to live. So they start hating and punishing the people that are.
A Homeland Security spokesperson telling the Associated Press today, everyone the department serves with an administrative warrant has already had a full due process and final order of removal. This comes at a time when arrests are accelerating under the Trump administration's immigration crackdown, specifically, as we all know.
Here's what I would say. Here's what I would say. Try it. Try it. Calling them Nazis doesn't work. I've been trying to get protesters to ask ICE agents if they share hotel rooms or they need to sneak down the hallway so they can make out with each other. Okay, that's weird. That's a little weird. And you know, if they're saying they're just going to blatantly violate the Constitution, then they're a tyranny. I don't like the U.S. Constitution. I think it's flawed. I think it's outdated. I think it needs updated. I think it's anti-democratic, and I think it results in bad government. But it is the Constitution that we have democratically agreed upon. And so even though I have a lot of problems with it, and I think there should be a lot of changes done to it, it is the governmental document that gives legitimacy to all federal government agencies. If they're going to violate it, then they have no legitimacy and they're nothing more than armed thugs. And if an armed thug comes into your house, that's a lethal threat.
And America is quickly expanding with some questionable tactics, questionable investigations, and as you're about to find out, questionable legal justifications.
Questionable, guys.
And while Minneapolis, yes, has been the epicenter The administration tonight is surging ICE agents into a new target, Maine. The administration is calling it Operation Catch of the Day. Yes, just like catch and release, these dehumanizing fishing analogies continue. One city councilor in Portland, Maine, is calling it something else.
I want to be really clear. This is a war of terror that's being waged on our city by the federal government. We've seen people of all ages getting thrown on the ground and getting thrown into trucks.
Maine's governor says the federal government is only sowing intimidation and fear. And if that sounds familiar, well, it should, because what's happening in Minneapolis could be a preview of what happens in Maine. We've already seen the videos showing aggressive ICE tactics, and tonight we're learning about a new one. ICE officers are using sweeping new power to enter homes without a warrant from a judge. The Associated Press has obtained an internal ICE memo that says that agents can enter a residence with only an administrative warrant if they're trying to arrest someone with a final order of removal. I can tell you right now, that's headed straight to a legal collision with the Fourth Amendment, because that treats the home as a protected space. I mean, literally, the word house is in the text. It says the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation. Now, one of the few exceptions could be hot pursuit. Think textbook, that's a person commits a crime. They're seen running into their house for cover. The cops are chasing them, and they run into the house to get them, requiring some sort of what they call exigency. It's not normally used in a civil context like an administrative warrant. Here's the thing, that's the textbook classroom discussion. In the real world, it's already happening, apparently. Look at this video from Minneapolis earlier this month. You can see federal agents ramming through someone's door. The rifles are drawn, and the AP says the home belonged to a Liberian man. And agents forced their way in with only an administrative warrant. So if this memo is accurate, it's likely to further spike tensions between federal agents and anti-ICE protesters, especially when they have suggested that being near the target could sweep you into their dragnet as well. Would that now mean everyone in the house would not have the same Fourth Amendment protection? This is from Minneapolis Today. A witness says officers deployed some kind of green chemical agent. You can see them dragging someone across the snow. Here's another video from that same altercation, showing Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino throwing a canister into the crowd.
Gas on Bill! Gas on Bill! We're filming you! Gas on Bill, Bovino! Gas on Bill!
The administration did notch a temporary legal win today. A federal appeals court froze a judge's order that limited how federal officers could act around peaceful protesters. All of it's going to make for a very tense backdrop tomorrow when Vice President J.D. Vance shows up to Minneapolis. We're told he plans to defend how ICE agents are carrying out their operation. But one person Vance has not been defending, Renee Good. It's been 2 weeks since she was shot and killed by ICE. 2 weeks since Vance stood in the White House briefing room and blamed Good for, what was his phrase? A tragedy of her own making. By tragedy, did he mean her own? In just a moment, Good's attorney. But first, I want to bring in the former acting director of ICE during the Obama administration, John Sandweg. He's also an attorney. And John, I want to first level set here, if we can. Is this a departure from typical ICE procedures when you're trying to detain someone who may have that final order of removal?
Yeah, Laura, this is a significant departure, really a true reversal from what longstanding position is at DHS and ICE. Traditionally the position was that you cannot forcibly enter a home without a judicially authorized warrant. So that's your warrant, Laura, as you well know, where you have the officers to fill out an affidavit detailing every element that led to them having probable cause that the individual, let's say in this case, if it's an immigration case, would be the undocumented immigrant is present, that their immigration status, that they've been ordered removed. The administrative warrant is just a form, Laura. It's really just a form the officer fills out, and you know, maybe another officer signs it, but it's nothing more than a couple of boxes. So the idea, though, that ICE has now suddenly reversed and said we can forcibly enter a home with just those administrative warrants really is pretty surprising and shocking to me, given the longstanding history and the training and everything else that was very, very clear that you do not, you cannot forcibly enter with just that piece of paper, that form.
And no Supreme Court.
All right, so here's basically my feeling. Like, as I've said before, the Constitution is a piece of paper. I'm going to be completely honest with you, chat. The Constitution is a piece of paper. Laws are paper. However, if you believe they're real, and we all socially believe they're real, then they have force. If you want the Constitution a right to be secure in your home and not have government agents just feel like they could waltz in, then you have to defend those rights. I want to give a hypothetical. It's going to be a very tough hypothetical. I don't want you guys to answer it. Just answer with Peepo smile. But I'm going to ask the hypothetical. We're going to think about it together. We're going to answer with Peepo smile. Okay? All right? Just think about it. And when you've thought about the hypothetical, you can type Peepo smile in the chat. You don't have to type anything else. Okay? Let's imagine that ICE agents break into the wrong house. Part of the reason why you get warrants is to have an independent third party verify that you're actually searching the right person, the right address, that there is a clear nexus between like criminal activity and the place that you're going. Let's imagine an ICE raid goes in the wrong house and they just burst in, and the resident of that home sees a group of armed men kicking down their door. They grab themselves an AR-15 and they shoot the officers. Based on my understanding of the law, that would be a completely justified shoot. And that's why they don't do that, chat. Because a professional law enforcement agency is not trying to create gunfights where they're in the wrong. If you're kicking down someone's door without a warrant and they resist you, that is called the right of self-preservation. That is a right that predates America. If I'm in my home and a group of armed people try to burst in and I kill them, that has been seen since time immemorial as a justified action. What ICE is doing is it's not just fascist, but it's lawless. It seems to be designed to create violence. And I think that that policy has to be resisted. Why hasn't the Supreme Court stopped this? You're supposed to be oh guys, we're originalists. We're originalists. We believe the Constitution should be interpreted in the way that it was enacted and understood to be as it was enacted. You think the Constitution, well then, if this is the clearest case, where are you? Where's the Supreme Court? Where's originalism? Where's conservatism? It's almost like every argument they ever made was bullshit.
Case saying that is different now. I mean, the Fourth Amendment still holds, even for people who are maybe non-citizens in this country. But the Associated Press, John, report memo has been, quote, shown only to select DHS officials who then shared it with some employees who were told to read it and return it.
So they have secret legal interpretations. This is also Nazi shit. This is also Nazi shit. God, I need to buy more guns. I'm buying more guns. I'm buying some guns. This week, chat, it's buy some more guns week. What rifle calibers defeat level 4 plates? These are pretty heavy. 50 cal? Jesus. I don't even think I could get that. Level 4 plates must be able to stop 30-06 M2AP. Wow. Then level 4 plates are crazy. The M993. Man, I'm sure I could get an M14. It always comes back to the M14, huh? What a classic rifle.
Now, what does that signal to you?
It signals to me a real concern.
Most level 4 body armor is ceramic. It cannot hold up to multiple shots of lower caliber rounds. If your shot placement is good, coupled with steel core penetrators, you could get through it. Yeah. I've read through it. That seems interesting. So ICE is absolutely fully loaded with live ammo. Yes, they are. Of course they are. Summary of China's military growth in 2025. Yeah.
about the legal basis of your memo. Laura, I actually talked to a couple of former lawyers who were in the general counsel's office during the beginning of this administration. They had heard rumors of something like this was going on, but it was being limited to the political class, right? That only the new Trump appointees were working on this memo. All of that is very weird, and obviously all of that is very suspicious. But Laura, let me just highlight something very quickly. The immigration advocacy groups are out there, and it's getting well known in these communities that are being targeted, that ICE could not enter the home with just that administrative warrant. And so, look, I think the administration's looking at this and they're having an increasing problem. It takes a long time to go get those warrants. You have to, as you know, the officers have to submit the affidavit, stand before that federal judge, swear to it, and then they can get the warrant. That doesn't lend itself well to a mass deportation campaign. But look, anytime you're drafting legal memos in secret and you're sharing them in secret and you're telling people they can't copy them and you're hiding them from Congress and the public, you should be concerned about the underlying legal basis of that memo.
A very good point. When I was out there, people were actually handing out little rights cards to people, telling them what officers could and could not do in the Constitution because they were trying to maybe get ahead of what was to come. Meantime, a judge paused a ruling that restricted federal agents from arresting or tear gassing peaceful protesters. And then moments later, the Border Patrol Chief, Greg Bovino, deployed a gas canister after warnings you heard him give during clashes with protesters. Now, DHS says the protesters were following Bovino and other agents at gas stations. They were trying their vehicles, even throwing food at them. What do you make of that scene?
Man, he looks like under so much threat. He can't throw the fucking grenade. He's under so much threat that he could just stand out in the middle of the street with nothing incoming. He's under so much pressure, guys.
Laura, if you had any desire to de-escalate the situation, for better or worse, Greg Bovino has become very much a face of these campaigns. We've seen him in Chicago, we've seen him in Los Angeles. He's become pretty well known as a result of this. He knows that. If he had any desire to de-escalate the situation and lower the temperature in Minneapolis, and again, I've said this a million times, during the Obama administration, there was a lot of criticism about immigration enforcement, but record numbers of criminal aliens were removed without images like this, without these scenes that we're seeing play out everywhere, without this confrontation with the public at large. And so my point is, you can say we can do this in a way that lowers the temperature without being on the side of criminal aliens, as some of the administration have said, or being in favor of open borders. But for Bovino to consistently go out to the scene of these protests, he knows his presence is going to inflame things. He knows that. Why does he keep going? There's no operational reason for him to arrive on the scene there. And it's just an unfortunate, it just feels often to me like the administration wants to kind of inflame these tensions and create more of these scenes rather than lower the temperature and let ICE do its job and get legitimate bad people off the street, but do it quietly and professionally.
I'll tell you, he does stand out. He doesn't wear a mask among a lot of masked agents. You wonder what the point of that is. John Sandweg, thank you so much.
All right, to the other big story we're following this morning that broke late yesterday, an internal Immigration and Customs Enforcement memo obtained by the Associated Press shows ICE officials told officers and agents they can forcibly enter homes of people subject to deportation without warrants signed by judges. Now, the memo from Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons, shared by whistleblowers with Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal, is dated May 12th. It authorizes agents to forcibly enter homes using only an administrative warrant instead of a warrant from a judge when a person has a final order of removal. This reflects, of course, a major departure from the longstanding practice of requiring judge-signed warrants to enter homes. It also is a clear amendment violation. The memo also instructs agents to knock and announce, state their identity and purpose, give occupants time to comply, avoid entries before 6 a.m. or after 10 p.m., and to only use, quote, necessary and reasonable force. The whistleblowers say it was secretively rolled out, shown only to select officials, and verbally briefed to others. According to the group, Whistleblower Aid, quote, together our clients are aware of multiple DHS employees who faced retaliation for expressing their concerns and or disagreement with the May 12th memo's policy change, likely constituting prohibited personnel practices. One client is aware of a seasoned government instructor tasked with teaching this new doctrine who chose to resign rather than be forced to teach what they understood to be unlawful. In response, a DHS spokesperson defended the policy, didn't deny it, defended it, saying individuals with administrative warrants have had, quote, full due process, and that administrative warrants have long been recognized as immigration enforcement. Joining us now, MS Now senior legal reporter and former litigator Lisa Rubin, MS Now justice and intelligence reporter Ken Delanian, along with MS Now contributor Mike Barnacle. Ken, I'll start with you.
Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, and Ninth Amendments are basically dead. If you say that, what you're really saying, you could say it more concretely. You could say it more concisely by going, we are living in a tyranny. Because if you could say, oh, those amendments don't matter, what about the part of the Constitution that says the presidential term shall be 4 years? If I can ignore the part of the Constitution that says you're not allowed to go into people's houses without a warrant, why can't I ignore the part where the Constitution says presidential term is 4 years? There is no substantive difference between the two. So as a brown person, if ICE sees me inside my house and decides to start tearing down my door and I shoot them fearing for my safety, who is in the right in that scenario according to the government? I will answer your question. One, let's assume they have no probable cause. They attacked your home purely for invidious motivations, namely you're brown, and you legitimately and a reasonable person would fear for their life in your situation. That to me, according to common law, according to long-standing self-defense law and precedent codified in our legal system, that would be a justified shoot, assuming that you did the minimum force necessary to halt the threat. As long as you didn't go and like double tap them after you shot them, right? As long as you didn't walk around double tapping, you're probably fine. Now, you asked the second part of the question, which is how would the government react? Well, the government would react like you were going around shooting cops for fun, and they would send a fucking tank to your door to kill you. Now, legally, morally, we could say that it didn't violate any laws. We are entering a lawless period, and I consider this to be civil war bait. I consider this to be civil war bait. If you come into my house without my consent, without a warrant, I will shoot you. Like that goes for any unauthorized intruder. Now, if somebody comes legally with a judicial warrant signed by a federal judge or a local judge, and it specifically details what they're searching for, what the crime they say I committed is, that would be another thing. I would comply with the law. But if somebody tries to break down my door, no warrant, no justification, as an illegal intruder, I will defend my family. That's just common sense. That's what the law says we have the right to do. Learned a new word, invidious. It's a good word. Invidious of an action or situation likely to arouse and incur resentment or anger in others. Unfairly discriminating, unjust. Good word.
So first of all, wondering what MAGA Republicans think of the concept of law enforcement being able to break into people's homes without an actual judge-issued warrant. But more importantly, it now seems to explain what we're seeing out there, because there's a lot of behavior out there that does not vibe with law enforcement procedure. We've seen homes being broken into. We've seen cars being broken into. We've seen videos of ICE agents inside stores. And I think a lot of people interested in the law being followed are wondering, how did they get in there? Why do they feel emboldened to break in? What do you make of this memo? And is it a violation of the law?
Yeah, Mika, good morning. This is incredible and important reporting by the AP's Rebecca Santana. And she says in the story that the AP doesn't really know, no one knows to what extent they've actually used this memo and acted on this memo, but they documented at least one case where they said they saw ICE officers break into the home of a Liberian immigrant and drag him out, and then they later learned that that was based only on an administrative warrant. And you ask what MAGA Republicans are going to think of this. Look, let's be real here. MAGA Republicans and many Donald Trump supporters are angry and annoyed that there are so many people running around the United States who have final orders of removal. Illegal immigrants in the country illegally who should be deported, and ICE is trying to find them, and they can't find them, and it's a really difficult administrative problem, and it's existed for years. But that doesn't trump the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. No matter whether they have an order of removal, an administrative warrant, the Fourth Amendment applies to all persons in the United States, not just American citizens. And there's a long litany of Supreme Court decisions and other case law that suggests that the Fourth Amendment applies in all of these contexts. There's no such thing as an administrative warrant that allows law enforcement officers to break into a home without approval of a judge because people are supposed to be secure in their persons and papers. That's a fundamental precept of the Constitution. So
and their homes,
this thing
literally says
we don't
it.
think has been tested in court, and most legal experts who have looked at this have said that it won't survive a court challenge. But right now they're acting on it. As you said, we're seeing ICE agents do these things, and we don't know what the legal basis is, but this memo suggests that this is one of the things. And the other really telling thing about the story, you alluded to this, is that she reports that the memo is not in wide circulation. In fact, the security around it is really telling. They're not letting people keep copies of it. They're letting people read it and then they're taking it back. And somehow these whistleblowers managed to obtain a copy and slip it to a senator, and that's how it's gotten out. But this is really an alarming and troubling development, and I'm glad you're highlighting it this morning.
So, Lisa, you've seen the whistleblower complaint. Let's lay out a little bit from a legal point of view the important difference between a warrant issued by a judge and this administrative warrant. There's a reason that there are restrictions on searches of people's home built into the Constitution. But what is the distinction between those two kind of warrants?
An administrative warrant is exactly what it sounds like. It's issued by somebody within the agency. It doesn't have a judicial check on it. A judicial warrant is something that is presented to a judge, grounds for the warrant, and is signed by a judge. And that has always been sort of the dividing line between when you can search somebody's home and when you can't. Now, Willie, there are exceptions, even under the Fourth Amendment. For example, if you're in hot pursuit of a suspect, can you enter a home without a warrant? Sometimes, yes. If you need to prevent imminent violence to someone, for example, you hear a domestic violence episode or a likely killing behind a door, can you enter without a warrant? Sure. But this doesn't reach any of those exceptions in the case law under the Fourth Amendment to when you can enter a home without that judicial.
So what kind of an umbrella are they using? Are the ICE personnel potentially using to go into a person's home? Under what umbrella?
I don't know. I mean, essentially what they're saying is if this is incident to an arrest of someone who is subject to a final order of removal, that a search predicated on an administrative warrant alone is enough to get through the door. We have not seen the entirety of the memo. We don't know whether it has an underlying constitutional justification. But theoretically, according to this whistleblower disclosure, people at ICE have advised that this meets their constitutional standards. As Ken just said, I'm a little dubious of that.
So apparently ICE has no responsibility from the administrative level at the top of ICE to publish this memo so the public can look at it?
They don't. And in fact, Mike, there are, for example, a couple of weeks ago, my colleague Fallon Gallagher and I were looking at ICE policy and CBP, Customs and Border Patrol policy, on the use of force. We were surprised that that memo existed in a public format, and only because it was an exhibit in litigation that's existing right now about the use of force against protesters and other citizens. Were it not for that, would we find it on ICE's website? Absolutely not. They have no obligation to publish it, and oftentimes take great pains to keep these things from the public. But what Ken described goes well beyond that. It's not just keeping it from the public, it's preventing people within the agency from even maintaining a copy of their own. That suggests a level of secrecy around this that goes well beyond simply having internal policy.
By the way, and Democrats' bright idea was to give them more money. Like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I understand you want to stop Trump, but if you're going to have to, if to stop Trump, you have to actually stop Trump. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Policies for internal consumption only.
And because of this now, these raids certainly be open to legal challenge. We'll see if that comes going forward. We'll keep an eye on it.
Now, as the federal crackdown in Minnesota continues, a clash involving the Border Patrol chief.
An appeals court paused a ruling yesterday that put limits on federal agents' use of force against protesters.
Why is he doing that? There's literally no riot. There's nothing happening, and they're throwing green chemicals onto random people who are not even on the street.
Hours after that reversal, this was the scene. This was in South Minneapolis. Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino.
I think that's just a green smoke flare because they're not wearing protective gear. And I can tell you right now, as somebody who's been tear gassed and CX gassed a time or two, that's not something you throw unprotected. Yeah, it is. You don't throw that shit unprotected. One of the things that's so most frustrating about myself is my schnozzle runs like a faucet when I get hit with that shit. So it isn't something that you want to run into unprotected. And I think a lot of people, I think the best way to understand tear gas is it's a chemical weapon. And once you start realizing that you're talking about a chemical weapon, just a powerful decongestant, no. It's your body reacting to chemical warfare on it, and it releases a bunch of like protective mucuses and agents to try to clear out the irritant. It's not a decongestant. No, it's a destabilizing chemical.
And other federal agents using chemical irritants in a clash with protesters. It started at this gas station in Minneapolis and then moved into a neighborhood park. Minneapolis City Councilmember Jason Chavez was there.
Eyes in pain, itchy face, couldn't breathe. You now have this green smoke, this weapon of war in the air next to apartment units, next to residents' homes.
The Department of Homeland Security took to X, saying, quote, someone spit on an agent. When an agent moved in to detain the person, the crowd tackled and attacked the agents while surrounding them. To safely clear the area, agents had to use crowd control measures to disperse the hostile crowd. Councilmember Chavez says he saw one person detained, but with the federal court ruling pausing protester protections, Chavez is even more concerned for public safety.
Now, the Department of Homeland Security is right now holding an update here.
Chat, we probably need to find some, what is a good respirator? What's a good respirator? All I have is a 95. You know, I need to get a better respirator. Yeah, you need a P100. And then you probably need some eye protection, you know? It also should be like a ballistically protected eye protection. You know what I mean? Is it P100 for particulates and not gases? I mean, how do you think the chemical agent works? It's a suspended particulate.
This is on operations in Minnesota. This is at the Whipple Federal Building where we...
Gear tips from Hong Kong protesters. Well, the Hong Kong protesters were trained by the CIA, so the CIA definitely understands. It definitely understands. This isn't enough. I mean, it's certainly better than nothing, right? Construction helmets are not a bad idea. Construction helmets not a bad idea. I do think that motorcycle protection is a good idea. Like a nice motorcycle helmet, getting armored motorcycle jacket, armored gloves. Those are also pretty good ideas because a rubber bullet hitting your armored jacket doesn't do anything to you. A rubber bullet hitting your fucking t-shirt, yeah, you're out for a while. Helmet is risky though when you are in a big crowd. I'd rather have a helmet than to get fucking blinded or hit in the fucking head. Wearing a plate carrier, real armor does up the charges by 4 levels. MC jackets avoid this. Yeah, exactly. Motorcycle jackets. They're civilian gear. I have a full face mask with impact resistant shield that you could use for like drilling and shit. I made sure that it fits around my face by using the size chart, which is very important that it fits right. Yeah, you need to do a fit check. I lost my eye from a beanbag. Sadly, eye protection isn't enough. I had it. Damn, man. Yeah. How much protection do you really get from motorcycle gear? It's designed to, I said armored gear. You shouldn't be getting like fashion motorcycle gear. You should be getting gear that like professional motorcycle racers use, you know, heavily armored gear. And they're intended to absorb impacts because, you know, when you're going 100 miles an hour and you fall off the motorcycle, that's a lot of impact. I'm not saying that this is, you know, armor protection. It isn't to make you invulnerable. It's to increase your odds of avoiding getting injured.
We have seen protests over the past 2 weeks. This here speaking now, this is Marcos Charles. He is the ICE Executive Assistant Director of Enforcement and Removal Operations. Let's listen into what he has to say.
Understands that ICE is only in this state to pick up the ball that local leadership has dropped. Today, I want to ask Governor Walz and Mayor Fry directly, please honor our immigration detainers that we've lodged against criminal illegal aliens in Minnesota, in the state's jails and prisons. Please work with us instead of against us. Please remember the victims whose voices are no longer here to speak for themselves. Please stop creating obstacles to keep Minnesotans safe. We're all on the same team, and our cooperation will save lives. I'd like to turn this over to Commander Greg Bovino.
Well, good morning. I'm Greg Bovino, Commander at Large of Customs and Border Patrol Assets in this great city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm glad to be here this morning. I'll make a few remarks, and then we're going to open this up to questions. Please hold all questions until the end. Now, folks, we've seen the excellent work that Mr. Marcos Charles has detailed here. This excellent work on these screens here. Marcos, you and your team are out there every day, Border Patrol, ICE, and those allied teams, and they're taking these folks off the streets. These folks were walking the streets less than 24 hours ago. Marcos and his team and Border Patrol are taking them off the streets by the dozens and sometimes hundreds every single day. So that's some fantastic work. We want to continue to accomplish that work. But what I would like to touch upon this morning is how much better this work could be. How much better can we do what we do? And how much better for who? For you, which you being Ma and Pa America and the taxpayer, how much better this work can be for the taxpayer. Now, better to the citizens here of Minneapolis as well. Minneapolis, 2020 riots, this most current influx of anarchists and folks that want to disparage and occlude this Title VIII law enforcement mission. So we can do this much better for the citizens of Minneapolis. And what this revolves around is the climate. The current climate surrounding law enforcement and this Title VIII mission in which ICE, Border Patrol, and these allied teams are fighting so hard to accomplish. Now, this climate that we talk about is not very favorable right now in Minneapolis. I just put that as our first point. It's not very favorable to federal law enforcement here in Minneapolis. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Some of you may know that Border Patrol and ICE were out conducting our Title VIII mission, and several of our teams were set upon by violent protesters, anarchists, rioters, individuals, and extremists that were intent on ensuring that we did not.
You know what was unrealistic about one battle after another? You guys know what was unrealistic about one battle after another? Sean Penn, the conservative, was attracted to adult human females. That was the unrealistic part of the movie.
Take these very people that Marcos talked about off the streets. Intent that we would not arrest.
Gosh, Chad, I can't speak. You know, it's tough being a professional political commentator. It is actually tough because I don't have freedom anymore. Like, I can't say, like, you guys probably could say what you want to say in private, and, you know, it's not a big deal. But if I say what I think, it becomes it goes viral. And I'll get fucking deplatformed. I'll get investigated. You know what I mean? Like, you can't say what you're thinking anymore when you're a political commentator. So you got to make sure that we just say peepo smile. We just say peepo smile. There's no such thing as in private when every electronic device you own has an interconnect connection, a microphone, and a camera. Correct. And they're listening, by the way. People talk about China being like the CCP being like a hyper surveillance state. It's not true. The United States of America is on the cutting edge of surveillance technology. And it's not a hypothetical, it's admitted. I mean, we had evidence over a decade ago that they were literally looking at people's nudes they were sending to their wife, or their wife was sending to them, and they were trading it at the NSA. They would show people's wives' pictures. They would go and look at old ex-girlfriends' phones. Like, this has already been proven. And Snowden now lives in Russia because no Democrat, and that includes Obama, the fucking rat, did anything about it. As soon as the United States got confrontational with Denmark, they ordered everyone to stop using anything Bluetooth. LOL. I love Jennifer Welsh, but she loves Obama so much. That's like somebody telling you their favorite band is Nickelback. You know, it's like one thing, like when it was like 2008, if you liked Obama, like that's, or, you know, 2003 and you like Nickelback, like, and you're kind of ashamed of it, and it's your guilty pleasure. I'm going to be like, okay, that's fine. In the Nickelback's heyday, if you were a Nickelback enjoyer, a lot of other people were. I'm not going to judge you forever. I'm sure I have a Nickelback CD or two somewhere in a pile. Okay. But if in 2026 you're walking around going, Nickelback is my favorite band, you're fucking weird. If you're going, I love Obama in 2026, you're fucking weird and you're kind of dumb. Now, it's okay to be like, back in 2008, I was bamboozled and I got swept up in the emotion. And it was nice to see a black man, leading this country. And it made me feel optimistic. Like, you're allowed to have those old feelings. You're allowed to remember what you used to think back then. And I understand it. And I respect that. But if you're in 2026 going, I like Obama, that's fucking insane. That's fucking insane. He's still alive, right? This isn't Abraham Lincoln we're talking about. He's still alive and he's not saying anything right now. You understand that, right? He's not doing anything. Barack Obama could be out on the streets right now. He could go to Minnesota. He can afford a plane ticket. He could go and stand with the protesters and say this is wrong. He could do whatever he wants and he's doing nothing because he agrees with it. I have a cool Obama 08 shirt. Is it okay to wear it private? That's fucking sick, man. That's perverted. I don't need to hear about it. Obama era vibes were just better than they are now, so people see it with rose-colored glasses. Obama had like a 30% approval rating, like for most of his presidency. He was a fucking lame duck for 6 years of his 8 years. He did fucking nothing. He just kind of stood around. He passed one bill that was kind of dog shit, and that's the only thing that Democrats have done in decades. Congratulations to the Indiana University and Coach Signetti on winning their first college national football players first college football playoff national championship. One of the greatest turnarounds of all time. Yeah, I saw that post, chat. Hey, brother, ICE is murdering civilians. Got anything to say about that? What are the replies? Here's a story that's becoming all too common. Federal immigration agents using racial and ethnic profiling as a rationale for stopping, questioning, and detaining U.S. citizens who they suspect are undocumented. This is from September, man. This is not a Renee Good post, man. That's not a Renee Good post. Barack Obama mostly just sells his platform. God. Obama's library is maybe one of the fucking weirdest, creepiest things I've ever seen. This looks, honestly, you know what this looks like? Hold on, let me show you what it looks like. Give me a second. It looks like the Palmo Armory. So in Andor, they were building this like armory, Imperial Armory, in order to do the genocide. That's what it reminds me of. God, that looks like shit. What the fuck? This looks like garbage. Also, if you're president for 8 years and then the thing that you say is it's about hope, the worst thing in Pandora's box, you're supposed to have accomplished something after 8 years in power, not just saying, well, I hope someone accomplishes something in the future. What the fuck? What a goddamn loser. I don't get it, man. I don't understand it. I don't understand liking this charlatan. Like, it is... God, he's such a narcissist. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. God, I can't imagine being this fucking batshit narcissistic. Like, that is next level narcissism. Being like, I need to destroy this park and install a tower, a brutalist tower, and spend $500 million or how much ever. How much did he spend? I think 500 million is probably under. It's probably billions. He just says nothing. It's like he's apolitical. Like he's less political than fucking Moist Critical's threads. How is Barack Obama's like Twitter account less political than Moist Critical? God damn, dude.
These individuals, these illegal aliens that prey upon mom and pop America every single day. So yesterday I had the fortunate opportunity to once again work with those fine agents in ICE and Border Patrol. And in doing so, from the very beginning of the shift all the way through the end of the shift, all day long, it was a running battle with those very extremists that I've talked about. So as we were looking to conduct that targeted enforcement against some very vile criminals, we were met with resistance. One of those criminals that we were after was Victor Urice. Mr. Victor Urice, a target that we were after yesterday. This individual is a convicted felon from Mexico with serious weapons offenses, fleeing from police, and a criminal rap sheet so long that I can't remember it all. That's who we were after yesterday. Now, as we were after Mr. Urice, we were set upon rioters who tried to stop us at every point yesterday. Simply using the restroom at a gas station was met with significant resistance. A lot of people would call that stalking. I don't think any of us would like to be stalked, but being stalked for 8 or 10 hours at a time is not a very favorable climate. Hey, folks.
Because you don't have any democratic legitimacy for what you're doing, which is not just going after violent criminals. You're going after regular people. You're kidnapping people off the street. You're kidnapping people that have American citizen children. 80+% of the people arrested by ICE have no criminal interactions at all. Did you cover Lakari busted for CSAM and Asmund telling him he needs a second PC for that? A little bit. But we're focused on the ICE saying they don't need a warrant. You know, like, I'm sorry, this story is a little bit more important. As much as I want to shit on Asmongold for helping people cover up child pornography, I mean, he does support Donald Trump, who's covering up Jeffrey Epstein. It's almost like pedocon theory is not a theory, but a fact. Yeah, Lakari leaked a notepad of like a bunch of links to like CP or like underage girls and shit on his stream. Who? It's part of the Austin sex criminal cabal. The only thing, I'm not gonna say it. I had to keep it back.
Where were the cops yesterday? Where was Minneapolis Police Department during that 8-hour stalking events? Anybody care to venture?
Listen to that. Oh my God, you know what he reminds me of? Herbert the pervert. He reminds me of Herbert the pervert.
It's like girls are a different species or something.
Oh, who needs them? You like popsicles?
Well, sure.
And you need to come on down to the cellar. I got a whole freezer full of popsicles.
No thanks. I gotta get going.
Oh, don't make me beg now.
You're funny. Bye.
Climate. Hey, folks, where were the cops yesterday? Where was Minneapolis Police Department during that 8-hour stalking events? Anybody care to venture a guess? I'd like to venture a guess, and it's I don't know. So it's that climate we're talking about. Violent mobs, rioters, who became violent towards the end of the day. Our very last stop at a gas station was met with violence. Individuals that perpetrated...
Insane read? What? You think I... Wait.
Violence.
Never mind.
Against our Border Patrol agents, forcing us to
I'm trying to cut down on me feeling like that I need to make statements about myself as much. It feels weird. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it to people, but like, all right. So right now we have 4,200 people in the room. I think a lot of you look at that number and nothing clicks in your brain. Okay? This is what we're looking at. It's actually more than this. So I'm in the front of a room like this, okay? And a lot of people are trying to talk to me. So it creates a certain type of brain damage. And when you consistently do that on a day in and day out basis, it creates a certain type of brain damage. So Open Presents, thank you so much for gifting a fucking 100 subs. Jesus Christ, I appreciate you. Chat, I mean, you know, Open Presents just gave 100 subs. Do you guys want to do a hype train now? Oh, hey! Oh, fuck. Open Presents, did you get a discount for that? Please tell me you got a discount for that. Nope. Oh, God. Okay, God damn it. Thank you, Open Presents, for supporting the stream. Chat, if you enjoy the content, please consider supporting it by subscribing at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 sub. Are chatters just the losers in the front row you can hear? Pick me? No. Some dipshit chatter tried to say blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to explain something to you, chat. When somebody consistently supports streams that you like, shut the fuck up and just say thank you. All right, just shut the. And even if they support streams that I don't personally like, it's fine. I don't care. Just shut the fuck up. Enjoy your free subs. Say thank you. Unless that person wants you to talk about them, don't do that. It's weird. And it's true of, it's like, I'll give you an example. It's like somebody goes into a restaurant and orders the most expensive item on the menu, and then people start coming over to the table and going, oh my God, I can't believe you're ordering that. It's so expensive. And start trying to make the person feel bad. You know what's going to happen to you? You're going to get banned from the restaurant. Go enjoy your Santa Fe chicken, okay? Let Open Presents get the ribeye, okay? All right? Haven't fit. Holy shit, chat. We're on a level 13 hype train already. Damn. Thank you so much. Thank you so fucking much for supporting the stream. Hammond Fist, John Hugs, Dread to Max, Trivial Solution, everybody who's gifting single subs or resubbing with your primes, Open Presses with 100, Apollo Noir, 37 months. Fettuccine has at 65 months. Holy fuck. Who has the most subs? Like, the most months in a row. What is the current top person? Who's got a sub that's older than 60 months? Stone Razor is at 63. Oh my God, Freckled is at 70. Holy shit, 70. That's a pretty good number. Who's more than 70? Anyone more than 70? Casey Tron's only at 50. SMH. Holy shit, Shark Salsa at 74. Holy fuck, that's a long time. In the Aftermath at 74. The Nisks at 73. Holy shit. Okay, chat. You know what I could do, chat? If you're a really old subscriber, the thing is, when I first became partnered, a lot of people got gifted subs who like literally never watched the stream. So I might go back and remove some of those people that just got one gift and never really watched the stream from getting the founder badge. I think I need to like make sure the people that get founder badge are actually the people that have been here since the beginning and not some random guy that got gifted right after I got affiliate status and never, ever was part of the stream community. Anyway, long story short, the reason why I bring this up is I'm working on not allowing you guys to brain damage me too much. I'm at 78, K-State Nate. Holy shit. I think that's like, and speaking of brain damage, Northern Lion said something that you all need to hear. So we're going to watch this. This is our treat for the hype train.
NL thinks he's Miles Morales talking about some I can do both type shit. You know what? My grudge with Spider-Verse has gotten even worse.
Ajak, thank you so much for the 20 gifty subs. Socialism or barbarism, thank you for the 5. Rex, 100, thank you for the 5. Also, everybody, if you're subscribing at tier 3 or tier 2, you are the king. Whenever you tier 3 sub, make sure I thank you. I want to make sure I thank the tier 3s because you guys are the real ones. Gifting subs is very flashy, but the tier 3 subs, you guys are the real ones, and I appreciate you. Toes Dex, thank you for the 5 tier 1s. Tier 3 gang, rise up, hell yeah.
Because it's actually like I just look at my phone Jessica, and I shake my head. When I leave a review on Letterboxd, and someone leaves a comment on it that's like a joke I've heard 100 times before, I always click on their name just to see what their top 4 is, and there's like a 90% incidence that there's a Spider-Verse movie in the top 4. It's always, the one time I made the joke off the cuff, I didn't know how true it was, that the top 4 is always like the best movie that came out in the last 3 years, a Spider-Verse movie, one older foreign movie that they put in there just so you know that they got shooters, and then also a Studio Ghibli film. It's like every single time. Every single time. They aren't wrong. I think like I've only seen the first Spider-Verse. I thought the first Spider-Verse was really good.
I gotta say the Spider-Verse films are good films for teenagers. You know, it's the type of film that you take your teenager to and you're like, you know what? I appreciate the craft. But if you look at that film and go, oh my God, one of the best movies I've ever seen, that's a problem.
It being in 50% of 20 to 25-year-olds' top 4s on Letterboxd is crazy. But it's the same. I don't know what it is for millennials, but for Gen X or even elder millennials, probably Jurassic Park is in like the same boat. Like Jurassic Park is a good movie. But
okay, I'm going to defend Jurassic Park for a second and say it is a popcorn film, but it's a popcorn film par excellence. It's just a very good movie. It's not a film, but it's one of the best movies for doing what it's doing. Okay, but it's not in my top 4 either. If you're gonna say blockbuster in your top 4, the answer is Alien. If you're gonna put a blockbuster in your top 4, the answer is Alien. Jurassic Park, I understand because it's fucking good. It's my favorite. It's a really good film. It's a really good movie. Excuse me, not film. But if you're gonna go with blockbuster, Alien is the one that goes up there.
The way that people who were like 13 in the year 1995 treated is like it's the greatest piece of art that's ever been invented. Big Lebowski.
I'm being attacked right now. I wasn't 13 in 95. I was 11, but I'm under attack right now.
Big Lebowski, believe it or not, I'm just bald. I'm not as old as most people who love the Big Lebowski. The Big Lebowski codes is a list.
I didn't like. I'm not a Big Lebowski enjoyer. I think the Big Lebowski is good, but I'm not like. It's not in like my top 50. You know, it's not in my top 50. I don't even really like doing rankings that are that rigid. I like being a complicated human being with different emotions, and different films elicit different feelings and different emotions. And I don't like to just push the I feel good button or the I feel bad button. I like having all the different emotions. I like the rigidity of ranking things in like a top 4 is just, it's very cringe and very algorithmic coded. It's very capitalist, to be honest with you.
Slightly older coded than me. There's got to be something for it. Maybe it's Eternal Sunshine for my generation. I could see that. I mean, Eternal Sunshine
is, I'm putting down the marker on overrated.
The thing is, the reason I feel like it doesn't fit is because I'm like, that movie's amazing.
It's so good, but it's like, bro, come on.
It doesn't apply because that really is one of the best movies ever made. So that the analogy doesn't hold, which means that the analogy probably holds as best as it possibly could. I thought it was a comedy, so it was not great for a first date. I can't do this again. I can't do this thing where I'm like, I fucked up my date by trying to show a girl a good movie. I'm sure it's probably totally fine. I have to believe that she just tanked it and was probably like, this was a good movie. Thanks for taking me. My friend asked me for a recommendation for a movie. I told him to go see The Lighthouse. Next day, he was pissed because he was going.
The listification of media is one of the worst things about the internet. That and saying best and singular favorite is just a thought-terminating discussion for me. Yeah, I hate it too. I hate it too because I'll explain what I hate about it. Because when I'm talking to someone and we're like, say we're sitting at a bar or we're at a house party and somebody mentions like films and like, oh, what's your favorite movie? And you're like, it puts you into like a weird social position where you can't name stuff that's too challenging. You know what I mean? You can't say anything that's too off the beaten path. It has to go into this like, it's like a socially acceptable conversation, and then you have to go like, how normie is this person? It's a very uncomfortable, and I kind of just disrespect the question. I just disrespect the question, you know? And so whenever somebody asks me what's your favorite film, you know what I say? This is how autistic I am, chat. I'll go, you know, I don't know that I have a favorite film. What I usually like to say, what is a movie that I've seen recently that I really enjoyed? So I'll just reject their question and make my own question and then answer it. That's how autistic I am. I'll be like, no, I don't really have a favorite movie, but you know, a movie I've seen recently that I enjoyed, and then I'll talk about that. But if somebody ever says the Serbian film, I just take a gun out of my pocket and shoot them in Minecraft. Anyway, let's keep going.
Going out on a movie date. Honestly, are the neurotypicals okay? I feel like it was totally fine to have a date and go see The Lighthouse. It gives you some shit to talk about. Like, this is, unironically, this is the data point that is like turning me towards believing that maybe I got something crazy going on upstairs. It doesn't seem like a big deal at all. It just seems like it's a complete non-issue. Might be the mermaid jerking off scene and the farting. Okay, so what are you suggesting? It's inappropriate for a date. The shit that pisses me off is you are all atheists and you're like, I don't want to watch a movie with farting is not appropriate for a date. Well, it's going to offend their tender sensibilities? Like, your attitude towards the movies that you can watch on a date with a woman are unironically misogynist. And you're calling me a misogynist because I didn't know about Nellie Taylor winning the Wyoming election for gubernatorial control of Wyoming in 1924, bro. Plus, the worst case scenario, if she actually does get offended and she doesn't want to watch it, don't you trust her to be like, this shit's kind of weird, turn it off? She's not just going to sit there and be like, well, he picked a bad movie. I'm never going to go on a date with this guy again. Doesn't make any damn sense. Why are you so puritanical? You're 22.
By the way, that's a good outcome for you. If you are dating someone and they are so fucking boring that something in a movie that makes them uncomfortable makes them not like you, good, get rid of them. You don't want to date them anyway. They suck. They're actually dog shit people. That's a bad person. The point of dating is to screen people for when you're compatible. It's not to construct a version of yourself that this person likes, but it's to embody who you really are and find someone compatible. That's the whole point of dating. You're not supposed to try to like contort yourself into whatever that person likes. You're supposed to find the person that is complementary to you, who vibes with you. I think what you're really scared of is actually knowing what you is. You're scared of having your own identity. You're scared of having any fucking real opinions. You're scared of actually standing your ground on anything important because you're so goddamn afraid of being alone. You know what's worse than being alone? Living a lie. Living a fucking lie is worse than being alone. All right? And you know what? You know what you're going to find? Being who you are leads you to find. That's what true love is. True love is not contorting yourself into fucking some image of what the other person wants, but by fully expressing yourself as you are and finding someone who likes that. That's what love is. Jesus Christ. I think one of the best things about me is and one of the things I do thank my parents because they made me move every 3 years. When I was growing up, I would just move every 3 years and I just would lose track of all my old friends, right? Like, cause we, you know, if you wanted to call them, that was a fucking long distance call. That was 10 cents a minute. No fucking way I was allowed to do that. Open presents. Thank you for 100 more gifty subs. You're the best. So I had to just go into places and make new friends. But you know what? The one thing I did learn is it's a big ocean out there. It's a big ocean out there. And you have to be comfortable with the idea that maybe every person you meet or bump into is not going to be your best fucking friend. And that maybe you want to find someone and you want to find a circle of people that are actually care about you for you. And you need to be okay with people just being acquaintances. Everybody doesn't need to be your best fucking friend. If somebody doesn't want to be my friend, I will not chase that person down. I'm sorry. I'll just be like, okay. I think people fall into another trap too. They find someone who they think will be compatible with the fake person they wish they were. Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ. Live yourself authentically. It doesn't mean don't improve. It doesn't mean be an asshole and be a piece of shit, but at least be who you are.
Oh, fucking chill out. It doesn't matter. Sit in the seat, watch the first 22 minutes of the movie, make out for the rest of it, and fucking add it to Letterboxd with whatever the consensus score is. This is the way, bro. They lost the sacred text. They don't know what they're doing anymore. They don't know what they're doing anymore. I watched The Hateful Eight in theaters with my Mormon grandpa, and that scene was not a fun time. I'm freaking out. I guess I trust everyone I see movies with to be adults, and they can just handle their own shit. You know how many movies I've seen where people are fucking, and I've like watched it on the couch with my parents when I was like 14? I don't give a fuck, man. I can't believe we have grown adults covering their eyes during sex scenes in like R-rated award-winning films with their parents. Just watch the fucking movie. It's not real. It's a fucking movie. Why would you take your grandpa to a Tarantino film? Because he's lived long enough on planet Earth that he can appreciate true cinema. I'm fucking dying. I'm fucking dying. You don't believe that these are real people. You don't believe that the person you're taking out on a date and possibly wooing and maybe falling in love with and getting married and starting a family with is a real person with interiority and some autonomy of their own. You don't believe that the people who raised you are real people with complicated emotions that can and mature sensibilities that can actually handle stuff. I'm freaking out. You think you're the only real person. You think you're the only, well, you're literally looking at the demography of it and I'm being, this movie wouldn't be appropriate for them. They're not an 18 to 35-year-old male who spends 8 hours a day on Reddit. What are you talking about? They're people. He looks so skinny while crashing out. Oh my God, it's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Chicken potato is fucking working. Chicken potato is working gangbusters. Holy shit, this is awesome. I'm on that Ben Stiller meet the parents type diet. Oh. I saw Bridesmaids in the theater at 14 with my mom, and she laughed and poked me at the part where she mentions the son's blanket was stiff from jerking off into it. W mom. That's huge W mom energy. That's what moms are supposed to do. They're supposed to embarrass you. And you're going to say, like, Mom, that's not cool. Okay, stop jerking off into, like, fabric when your mom still does your laundry, you gross little boy. Jerk off into a fucking tissue and at least throw it in the garbage can or, like, flush it down the toilet or something, you fucking pervert. You can only jerk off into your bed sheets if you're the one who does the linens, you fucking moron. Of course she knows you're whacking it. What do you think, bro? Are you stupid? Everyone is now realizing their moms knew they jerked it. I'm so sorry, but if you're like in your 20s or older and you somehow were still laboring under the delusion that your mom didn't know her teenage son was jerking off, you might be fucking stupid. How could they not know, man? You're like a little kid. You're not slick, man. Of course they knew. Can I tell you something else? The reason, if they never bring it up, the reason they never bring it up is because you have a truce. I know, you get a little older, and all of a sudden you're like, man, every Saturday, my mom would be like, hey, me and your dad are just going to take a nap for a little bit. Are you good out here? And I'll be like, yeah, I'm fine, Mom. Wow, I guess working hard really makes you sleepy. They were fucking in there. I don't bring that up to them, and they don't bring the jerk-off shit up to me. This is the way, man. It's family business. You broke Omerta? Yeah, but it was funny. I never even saw my parents kiss. That's funny, man.
That's sad. That's fucking sad. I personally am a big fan of constant affection. I think that every time you, like, how can you not? That's so sad.
Well, they were fucking other people then, in all likelihood. Hopefully. Why does that sound so sad? I think it's sad to live in a world where you never see your parents kiss. You look to your parents to be a model for what, like, a grown-up relationship is supposed to be like. And what if you never have one of those? Oh, yeah, it was not really my fault, to be honest with you. Top 15%. Some of us have divorced parents. Oh, hey, but like you're my grandson, I need you to be my strongest soldier. Having divorced parents is better than having parents that are unhappily married. If the marriage sucks, the fact that they got divorced is a buff. They buffed it in the True.
You learn. That's absolutely true. And also, I'm so tired of the narcissism of people going, oh, my parents divorced. It's so unfair to me. What? They're human beings too. You want them to stay in an unhappy, sexless relationship so that you can get your chicken nuggies? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? You're an adult now. As long as your parents took care of you and maintained their responsibilities toward you, their relationship ending is none of your fucking business.
Match, man. Also, this isn't really fair because my parents are still married and in love. It's really like 70s to 90s coded to be like an adult out here talking about like my parents are divorced.
So
it's
true.
not for me to say that didn't give you trauma. I'm sure it gave you trauma, but they got it all out between the 70s and the 90s. Like every Jim Carrey movie in the 90s was about him being a bad father and him almost getting divorced from the dad's mom. Okay. But then they eventually reconciled. Okay. It's so easy to deal with. I literally can't say that because I've never been through it. But at the same time, it does feel to me like, people were getting divorced like crazy 20 years ago, and the kids are out there like still, they're grown-ups now. So I think most of them probably tank it. Sure, some of them are worse than others, don't get me wrong. Now I got to call some lady my dad's wife. That is fucking funny. I've never in my life been able to say something like, oh, my dad's wife, my mom's new boyfriend. I don't think
can I just say something here? This is where being studying history is above. People used to die all the time. It's actually weird. It's only a short period of time post World War II where we had antibiotics and all these vaccines where people didn't just fucking drop dead, You used to have so many step-parents and half-brothers and sisters because people would drop fucking dead. They would drink from the wrong puddle and they'd get diphtheria and their membrane would close their throat and they'd be fucking dead. And there would be your mom. So, the idea of people staying together and living till they were fucking 90, that's a technology. That is something that has started happening in the last 100 years. For most of human history, people were in a relationship, they were married, and then they fucking died. You know how many women died in childbirth? It's very, very, very normal. So, grow up.
That would be traumatic for me to get into the adjustment of saying something like my mom's new boyfriend. To have to send a message to someone that's like, I can't right now. Jeff's over. Oh, my mom took the car. She's on a date with Jeff. I'm like, fuck.
I mean, one of the most common historical patterns would be like the king marries a woman, he has a child with her, and then she gets pregnant again and she dies, right? And the king's son is like 5 and he marries another woman, and his second queen, he gets her pregnant, and then she's like trying to figure out a way to kill the fucking kid so that her kid can become the king. Like this shit, this is some like historical, this is a constant.
Stuck in my fuck ass room because mom's out with Jeff right now. Mom's at the Lone Star Texas Grill with Jeff. Jeff has his own aluminum siding business, but he can't take the work truck for personal business. Fuck you, Jeff. Please stop. I beg you. Happiness is overrated. Sometimes we just want to feel miserable. Is it bad that I was happy when character fell into the pit? She's too shiny. Shiny people are sus. I need another.
Can I just stop? Can I just stop and say, if you wrote any of these reviews, I hate you.
Review. Emotional terrorism. Fell into the pit. I'm reviewing this as an adult, so ultimately what I say doesn't matter. This must be Inside. Inside Out. It's unfortunate that I'm 19 now and still have a tragic vampire romance island. My joy must have gone on a trip about 8 years ago and got lost on her way back. Rip girly. Okay, whatever, man. I hate Letterboxd. I think it's mostly good, but there's some stuff that I don't necessarily vibe with. Yes. Better than Lost in Translation? I don't want to talk about it. Well, I didn't know Lost in Translation had so many haters. I like Letterboxd. I just never read the reviews. My other problem with Letterboxd is...
You know what I want to do, chat? As I'm watching Northern Line, you know what I want to do? I want to make every Zoomer watch Harold and Maude. I want to make every Zoomer strap them down into a theater, pin their eyelids open, and make them watch Harold and Maude. Like, I think that would be a solution. I think it might be a solution. The solution to the Zoomer problem is 70s movies. Let's get... we should make this a rule. As soon as somebody hits 18, they get taken into a room, and for a week straight, they just have to watch 70s movies. And then I never, ever have to hear about them complaining because there was a sex scene in a movie or something.
And I'm not saying that it's Gen Z doing this, because it could very well be millennials. But I feel like a lot of shit movies that came out when I was a teenager are ranked way too highly on Letterboxd because they're being rediscovered like 20 years later. It's like people are looking back at the time wistfully without realizing that when they came out contemporarily, they were not good. They were like worse than the other shit that was coming out at the same time. Like, I'm sorry to say, Garden State should not be a 3.5 or whatever.
Oh, Garden State sucks. I'm sorry, chat. I know there's probably a lot of Garden State riders in here. I don't like it. I don't like Garden State. It's. I'm gonna die on this fucking hill. I don't like it. I don't like it. That's my personal take. We can get into it why it's bad if you really want. I'd rather not talk about it. That's how much I don't like it.
Gardens and some of the shit is. I'm willing to go to bat for this one. Why is the Darjeeling Limited at like a 4.1 on Letterboxd, bro? It's maybe the worst Wes Anderson film. The Life Aquatic, I do not like very much, but I will accept it being at like a 3.8 because people just go fucking crazy. The way I look at it, kind of, it's a little bit like, you know how in a Marvel movie, when like a character shows up from the comics, everybody goes, yeah.
I mean, I think of Wes Anderson as Marvel movies for the quirky people. Like, that's honestly how I think of them. It's like Marvel movies for people who shop at a vegan food store. And it's like, it's not that they're bad. It's just that for some people, they're their entire like life pillar. And it's like, Can you find something that's a little bit less quirky, please?
Yes. I feel like the Life Aquatic is like that.
I do think that people that like Wes Anderson's films should date each other. I do. I did this whole rant about being authentic to yourself. I do think that if like Wes Anderson films are like are the thing that you love, I think you should find other people that like them and date them. And there's nothing wrong with that. I would be friends with you. I would be friends with you. I wouldn't be best friends with you, but I would like order vegan hot dogs and cook them just for you at my barbecue. Okay? Like I would be friends with you. I just, I'm not going to make, a whole spread based on that, but I am accommodating.
The Gulp Shitto is the Brazilian guy with the hat playing the David Bowie songs, the Sue George David Bowie songs. So it's like every review is like, the movie's not that good, but I love when the Brazilian guy plays the guitar. Well, I'm like, well, the movie is the movie, so give the movie score. Darjeeling Limited being at a 4.1 seems fucking crazy to me. Your review of Darjeeling is skewed because you got rejected by your crush during the film. It's the opposite of your eating popcorn rule. I did not get rejected by my crush at the Darjeeling Limited. It was within a 3-month period around that. I ate at a restaurant and then with her, and then on the way back, I told her, and she went, oh, interesting. Let me think about that for a minute. And I got out of her Plymouth Voyager and she fucking peeled out of my dorm parking lot, bro. I would not hold that against the Darjeeling Limited. I hold that against Plymouth, which a few years after that ceased to exist. Too fucking generous for them to have lasted that long to begin with. And then also the restaurant in downtown Kingston, even though it's not their fault. Now that restaurant unfortunately no longer exists, but it was a good restaurant. Smelled a little funky sometimes because it was like run by like an anarchist co-op, but the grilled cheese fucking slapped. And real Kingstonians will know exactly what place.
Okay, I'm doing an anti-millennial screed now. Now Northern Lion has got me on an anti-millennial screed. If your restaurant is primarily mac and cheese and grilled cheese, you should not be able to get a license for that. You should not be able to get a business license. If your restaurant is primarily mac and cheese and grilled cheese, you should not be allowed to get a restaurant for that. There better be an actual meal an adult needs to know how to cook to make, or you're not allowed to have a restaurant. If it's a meal that I cooked because my mom was late coming home from work, you're not allowed to have a restaurant. Thoughts on Diners? They make shit like chicken fried steak. All right? I'm sorry, Diners, they have like a whole baking section. Yeah, they're making burgers. Yeah, they're making meatloaf. But there's some meals there that, even meatloaf is too complicated. We're talking about, 2-piece bread, cheese middle. I'm sorry. That's not a restaurant. Mike, motherfucker, you throw some bacon in there and it's a meal. Real mac and cheese is too good for this slander. Again, I'm not against it being a side dish. I'm not even necessarily against it being on the menu. But if it is a grilled cheese restaurant, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm talking about, I don't need to drop the name. Someone drop the name so I can go, yerp. Immediately got it. Immediately got it right. Gay Bob Dylan would be like, he sucks cock just like a man. Oh, he gawks just like a man. The last one to be like, yes, he does. He guzzles cum just like a man. Plug his mic in. Woody Guthrie at the fucking Newport Folk Festival. Don't do it, Bob.
Honestly, Northern Lion, as a successful streamer, is holding up my vibes. Like, I don't watch Northern Lion on my own, but every time I see a clip of Northern Lion, like I watch one of his rants or whatever, I'm just like, I'm glad he exists. Like, if I wasn't a streamer and I had an additional 8 hours in my day, I'm sure I would check in. You know what I mean? I'm sure I would check in. That's also how I feel about Brennan Lee Mulligan. It's like he's another guy where every time I see a clip, I'm like, you know what? We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Mike on sides.
Act like we're working. Okay, wait, he's coming. He's coming.
Okay, so I think if we short Pfizer, that's
$430,000 in 1 month, Jordy? Huh?
They're business expenses.
Jordy, look what you got here.
What?
Look at this. $26,000 for one dinner.
No. This could be explained. Dad, we had the Pfizer clients.
Right, the porterhouse from Argentina.
The expensive champagne, the wine. We had to buy champagne. And you ordered all the sides. Tell them about the sides you ordered.
The sides, so...
Sides?
Yeah.
Sides?
$26,000 worth of sides? What are these sides? They cure cancer? The sides did cure cancer. That's the problem. They were there. That's why they were expensive.
Shut up.
I'm serious. I know.
Stop.
Wolf of Wall Street is one of those films that I enjoy, but if I meet a guy and he likes Wolf of Wall Street, I'm like, hold on. Like, somebody's like, oh, my favorite movie is Starship Troopers. Street. I hate when idiots like good movies for the wrong reasons. I think that actually is one of the things that pisses me off the most, and I don't know how to explain it. American Psycho, another perfect example. Whenever somebody likes a movie, but it's because they're a fucking idiot, but the movie itself is good, it blows. And there's so many movies, like that was the 2000s in a nutshell. There's so many movies that were good and well thought out and executed correctly, and then the dumbest pieces of shit saw it. And then they made it their personality by missing the fucking point. I actually think that when I'm setting up the re-education camps, one of the things I'm going to use in the algorithm I developed to figure out whether someone should be arrested for the gulag is looking at their letterbox. So if somebody's like Starship Troopers, Fight Club, Wolf of Wall Street, 6 months. I don't need anything more than that. They're going right in. Now, I love all those films. I think all those films are good. Everybody who likes Taxi Driver. I mean, those, I don't know. That's actually too good of a movie. I doubt fascists are watching Taxi Driver. Maybe they were 20 years ago, but nowadays, like, can you imagine a Nick Fuentes viewer watching Taxi Driver? I don't think they would. They're not smart enough for that. Heat is dope. I like Heat a lot, but it's missing something for me. There's just something about Heat where I'm like, it doesn't quite stick the landing for me. But it's really good. Like, I think you should see it for sure. I like it. It's just not, it just feels to me like it's missing a couple scenes. I could get into it more of what I'm like trying to say, but it's just like, if you like any U.S. military propaganda war movie, you're sus. So true. I mean, I embarrassingly like Saving Private Ryan. I know. It's such a schmaltzy fucking Spielberg slop film, but I do like it. And I think technically, like the technical achievements of the film, like I think the D-Day landing of that is so good. Band of Brothers is peak. I'm sorry. Band of Brothers is crypto-fascist slop. There, I said it. That's my most unfortunate take, but true. If you see the way that Band of Brothers treats the Nazis at the end, it's fucking insane. It's fucking insane. And it's just completely unrealistic as well, and weirdly crypto-fascist slop. You're like, oh man, look at that general. Look how he's surrendering, and he's so, let me salute you, sir. It's like, what the fuck? And some people are gonna, okay, hold on. German surrenders, Band of Brothers. And I bet you the comments are gonna be so not good. Oh, here we go. The German general's speech.
You heard the story?
With your permission, I would like to address my men briefly.
That'll be fine, General.
They're just like us, guys. They're just like us. Far from home.
Captain Sobel?
Major Winters?
Captain Sobel. We salute the rank, not the man.
Also, I feel like the Band of Brothers was written by some guy, and he spends most of his time like trashing this other guy and makes him into an over-the-top villain. And it's just like, you could tell how biased it is, and it's like cringe. Where I'm just like, bro, this is shameless. Jerk-off film, jerk-off motion, like that.
Männer, es war ein langer Krieg. Es war ein harter Krieg.
Man, it's been a long war. It's been a tough war.
Ihr habt tapfer und stolz für euer Vaterland gekämpft.
who fought bravely, proudly for your country.
Ihr seid eine
For your fatherland, not country.
Truppe,
You are a special group.
die ineinander einen Zusammenhalt gefunden hat,
You found in one another a bond
wie sich nur im Kampf entwickeln kann.
that exists only in combat.
Unter Kameraden,
Among brothers
die Fuchshöhlen geteilt haben,
who've shared foxholes,
die sich in schrecklichen Momenten gegenseitig gestützt haben,
held each other in dire moments,
die den Tod zusammen gesehen haben und gemeinsam gelitten haben.
who've seen death and suffered together.
Ich bin stolz, mit euch gedient zu haben.
I'm proud to have served with each and every one of you.
Does anyone now object to me saying it's crypto-fascist slop? Does anyone now disagree with me? The thing is, I just remember shit better than many of you. When I say shit, I'm not just making it up. This is all an attempt to whitewash the Wehrmacht, which did all the crimes, which there was no clean Wehrmacht. That's a myth the United States started putting out because they needed to put Nazis right back into power to fight the Soviets. So they let the Nazis get away with all their crimes because they needed to set up a West German government. And I don't know if you noticed, but they didn't want to put in the socialists and the social democrats, you know, the people the Nazis actually targeted. So they had to do this whole spin about how, oh, actually, these were honorable men fighting for their country. No, they were killing people. They were raping and murdering civilians. It's all false. And the reason why the Germans ran to surrender to Americans is because they knew that America had not been fighting in their own country, watching their own people get slaughtered and massacred, and that the Americans would give them a slap on the wrist because they hadn't committed all those crimes in American territory. That's why they ran to surrender to the Americans, because they knew they would get us, and they did. They did get a slap on the wrist. In fact, now you have American propaganda. You think a Nazi, a guy who was a general under Hitler, was not a National Socialist supporting fascist aggression? Like, this is just non-fucking sense.
Sie alle verdienen ein langes und glückliches Leben in Frieden.
You deserve long and happy lives in peace.
You deserve long and happy lives in peace to German soldiers at the end of World War II is fucking crazy. Let's check out these amazing comments. Isn't it poetic that Band of Brothers comes to an end after the German Band of Brothers is dismissed by its general? What the fuck are you talking about? What a jawline on that general. These Germans were the fortunate ones. Surrendering to the Americans was a much better alternative than to the Red Army. Honestly, this is one of the most moving speeches in the war that I've ever seen. As a former Australian Army soldier, I salute an officer who can pull from defeat a message of hope and still speak on the futility of war, yet salute his men's courage. Such a masterpiece of filmmaking. War and politics aside, damn, those uniforms were sharp. Man, it's almost like people are watching this and really liking Nazis at the end. It's hard having a grandfather who surrendered to the Allies in 45. This is why Patton respected the hell out of German soldiers. Let's see what else we find from Johnny's War Stories. Okay, so this is just a slop channel that steals clips from movies and reposts them. This is the guy with 90 IQ's favorite YouTube channel. Anyway, moving on. Sorry for getting distracted. Let's get back into real politics. We got off on a long tangent there, chat. Let's get back to real politics. I promise I'll get back to real politics. That was like an hour and a half long tangent. All right, let's be back to politics. Wait, Mike, look at this scene.
Marshal Stalin proposes a toast to the health of his friend, Prime Minister Churchill, on this his birthday.
Okay, no thank you. We're not watching this shit. All right, let's get back to actual news.
Your fat ass back here.
Oh, sorry.
Action not against Victor Urice, the individual that we were after, but to take action against those violent anarchists who didn't want us to catch Victor Urice, if you can believe that. Absolutely unbelievable. Hey, where were the cops?
So that is Commander Gregory Bovino. He is the head of ICE. This is a briefing from the ICE operations here in Minnesota. He's talking about the work, the law enforcement, the federal enforcement, immigration enforcement happening here in Minnesota. He said that the current climate here in Minnesota is not favorable in Minneapolis, saying that his teams have been set upon by violent protesters, extremists, rioters, and anarchists. He called this a running battle.
He said that he's continuing to use targeted enforcement. And as you mentioned before, he said that the favorable climate right now, it is not favorable in Minneapolis. We also heard from Marcos Charles, who said that ICE is picking up the ball that local law enforcement dropped. And he asked the question, they both asked the question as far as where is local law enforcement in this whole process as well.
Right. And he said, he asked me the question, he says, I don't know. So taking a jab at the MPD. Now, what he was saying out there, he was saying that these are anarchists, violent protesters. I think a lot of people would disagree with his assessment of what is happening there on the ground. But again, that is Gregory Bovino giving an update here. They also listing off a list of people who they arrested yesterday. He said, including one man who was convicted of violent crimes in Mexico.
Now, of course, all this comes because we are still expecting the vice president, who is going to be landing here later today. We heard the attorney general. She was here just yesterday as well. So a lot of law enforcement, federal law enforcement present that is here in Minneapolis, in the Twin Cities. Big story. We're going to continue to follow up for you all morning.
White House photoshopped civil rights activists like a slop tuber. Did the White House digitally alter the image of Nakima Levy to make her cry? Bizarre, dark stuff. What the fuck? I think the thing to remind yourself here is all that the politics of the conservative movement is best explained by Matt Christman. Hurting the people that you don't like. You no longer think of politics as like actually able to affect your life positively, but you can imagine it affecting the people you don't like negatively. Now, I personally agree completely with that, and I want to add on to that. We should do that too. I think the solution, whenever somebody's bullying somebody, the best way to get them to stop is when they get a big fat punch in the nose, right? If somebody's bullying someone and then they take fucking damage, it's no longer fun, right? The moment you start suffering consequences, it's no longer fun to do bullying. People will still fight if they have something to fight over that matters to both parties, but bullying is only stopped when consequences that are greater than the bullying are created. Oh my God. Homemade hummus? Wow. Holy moly. That's a lot of hummus. Thank you, Vio. It's very light. This is what, like when you have hummus that's not store-bought, I don't know if you can see, but it's like super light. There's a lot more like air in it. All right, let's keep going. Oh, let me see if I can show you that clip of Matt Christman. Let's see if I can find it. Matt Christman, politics is about hurting people you don't like. This is like the worst search ever. Oh, here we go.
Two political parties where the message is from one, don't be a pussy, and the other is, don't be an asshole. And you got to pick one. People don't think that they can change anything with politics. Anything structural. If it's structural, it is by definition not political. That is what we believe, because that's what we believe. And why do we believe it? Because it's what we live. It is just our lived experience, ironically enough. Our collective lived experience is capitalist realism. It is that because we stopped having a class adversarial relationship at the top level of government in the 70s, and that the democratic project has basically been dead since then. And that as a result of that, the two parties don't argue about things like how long should people work? What should be the conditions of their work? What should be remuneration? What should be the standard of living for an American? Those questions are not political to people, even if we talk about them sometimes high-mindedly. And what that means is that at this point, I feel like if you get in front of a bunch of people, casuals, who are going to just come into the polls because it's so easy now, they're going to hear you say, I want to get Medicare for all, and I want to make everybody have free college, just like Corbyn did, because Corbyn got to run a general election where he got to make his message spread in a country where they have a fucking parliamentary system where if he got in power, he could actually have done some stuff because they don't have our stupid fucking constitution and it's a majority rule. And yet, in the red redoubt there, the red wall. They went for Brexit because Brexit was more real to them than the stuff Corbyn was promising, because they didn't think he was telling them the truth. And even though some people are going to be disarmed by the genuineness of a guy like Corbyn and Bernie, and that's going to get you some people, it's not going to get you enough people.
And I agree with that, which is why you need to be mean. I think the one thing that Matt didn't understand is that our message can evolve. We could have the carrot. What we've always missed out on is the stick. And this is where I come in. All right. I'm going to say what needs to be said. We need to do shit to the right. We need to dismantle their think tanks. We need to steal billionaire money, expropriate it through taxes, whatever you want to say. We need to crush right-wing forces. We need to disrupt them. We need to punish them. ICE agents who commit crimes should go to prison for life. Donald Trump, his entire administration, we should do a Truth and Reconciliation Commission after he's out of office. Donald Trump should die in prison. J.D. Vance should die in prison. Every single one of these motherfuckers should die in prison. And that is the promise that we need to run on. Hold them accountable. Not mamby-pamby bullshit, but actual punishment for crimes. If we want America to move on from the fascist era, we need a second Reconstruction. We need to dismantle crypto. We need to dismantle right-wing scam religions. We need to make it a federal offense to bribe a politician through campaign contributions or super PACs.
Long.
Right. You can be sure to watch us right here on TV, also on CBS News Minnesota. Now, just new this morning, we've learned that there's been an arrest. This is over that protest at the church in St. Paul from last Sunday.
Protesters disrupted the service at City's Church over Pastor David Easterwood's role as acting director of ICE field office in St. Paul. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Corbyn's defeat and Bernie's defeat had to happen because we needed an antibodies to woke rad liberalism. We needed antibodies from people saying, oh my God, you're a veteran. Oh my God, you're a white man. Oh my God. How about voting for Kamala Harris, who's a black woman? We needed to have antibodies against bad faith bullshit that takes advantage of our anti-racism, anti-misogyny. Our pro-liberation politics was defeated by liberal idpol. We needed to learn to get a thicker skin. We needed to be able to say, you're calling him an anti-Semite? I don't give a fuck. He's not an anti-Semite. He's anti-Zionist. We needed to go through understanding why rad liberalism is bullshit. We needed to get the ability to look past pure identity appeals. We need to have a class-conscious politics. And in order to do that, we had to go through the experience of people destroying men like Corbyn or Bernie off of bad faith bullshit and then supporting Joe fucking Biden. The same people that were like, I'm not voting for Bernie Sanders. He's an old white man. Then told you to vote for Joe Biden, the guy who created the drug war in America, the guy who made student loans undischargeable in bankruptcy, the guy who was the personal senator for the credit card companies. We need to go through the experience of rad liberalism, idpol bullshit rotting everyone's brain. We needed to go through woke one. We had to go through that in order to build a movement that was actually class conscious, that was actually intersectional. We needed the ability to be able to separate bad faith idpol bullshit from actual intersectional politics, which takes anti-racism seriously, which takes anti-Zionism seriously, which takes defeating misogyny seriously, and doesn't use it cynically to defend the status quo. We had to go through that in order to evolve a better form of politics.
Bondi announced this morning that she directed agents to arrest Nakima Levy-Armstrong. Bondi says Levy-Armstrong allegedly played a key role in organizing what she called the attack on City's Church. Bondi said, quote, we do not tolerate attacks on places of worship, and said there will be more updates.
New details in the deadly ICE shooting in Minneapolis. The attorneys for Renee Good say that they have the results of an independent autopsy that was requested by Good's family. So the mother of three right here, she was shot and killed by an ICE agent 2 weeks ago in South Minneapolis. Her attorneys say that the autopsy shows 3 clear gunshot wounds. The bullet that killed her That one hit near her temple. That information consistent with records that we obtained last week from Minneapolis first responders. The Good family attorneys say that they are continuing to gather evidence for their case.
As we mentioned, Vice President J.D. Vance says he plans to focus on restoring law and order during a visit to Minneapolis today. His office said he'll host a roundtable and deliver some remarks. The vice president has been openly critical of local leaders, blaming them for the chaotic encounters with ICE agents. Of course, our coverage of the vice president's visit and the federal crackdown that will continue throughout the day on air and on CBS News Minnesota.
We begin today's show in Minneapolis, Minnesota, as the Pentagon's placed 1,500 soldiers from the 11th Airborne Division in Alaska to be on standby to possibly be deployed to Minnesota just days after President Trump threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act as protests continue over ICE's immigration crackdown. The Trump administration says it's opened criminal investigations into Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, who've sharply criticized ICE's tactics. In a statement, Walz said, quote, weaponizing the justice system and threatening political opponents is a dangerous authoritarian tactic, unquote. This comes after the FBI reportedly opened a civil rights probe into the ICE agent who killed Renee Good, but then pivoted to focus instead on whether Good and her widow assaulted the agent. Meanwhile, on Friday, a federal judge ordered ICE agents to stop arresting or pepper spraying peaceful demonstrators in Minneapolis. On Sunday, demonstrators disrupted Sunday services at a church in St. Paul to protest one of the church's pastors, David Easterwood, who they say is a top ICE official in the Twin Cities.
David Easterwood is a pastor here. He is also the director of the field office for ICE in St. Paul. So someone who claims to worship God, teaching people in this church about God, is out there overseeing ICE agents.
The Department of Justice says it's opened an investigation into the protesters. In another development, the Trump administration is being accused of denying legal counsel to many arrested during the immigration sweeps. Multiple attorneys say they've been blocked from seeing clients held at the Whipple Federal Building in Minneapolis. Meanwhile, ICE agents continue to carry out raids in St. Paul. Armed, masked agents battered down the door of a home and, without a warrant, arrested a man led out of home in his underwear in sub-freezing weather. It turned out the man was a naturalized U.S. citizen born in Laos. For more, we go to Minneapolis for a report from Democracy Now!'s John Hamilton on the ground there this weekend, speaking with people about how communities are organizing against the ICE raids.
James Schwesnadol is a volunteer with the Community Rapid Response Group on the lookout for federal agents in his Minneapolis neighborhood.
Just driving around my neighborhood, kind of picking an area to just keep
what a fucking king.
An eye on, looking out for any ICE or Customs and Border Patrol.
Hundreds of legal.
Tomorrow is gonna be fucking cold, man. I've been in negative like 10, negative 20 degrees before, and that is a situation where you need specialized gear. You need to have a parka, an actual parka. I don't know if you've ever worn a parka, chat, but they are pretty base. You need to have like face covering. You need to have like strong mittens. I think a lot of these ICE agents are gonna get fucking hurt because it's too cold. You know what I don't want to be doing when it's negative 20 outside? Going door to door.
Observers like James now patrol the streets of the Twin Cities each day on the lookout for masked federal agents in unmarked vehicles.
And then I'm on a signal chat with people in my neighborhood here, and then there's people all over the neighborhood who are following that signal chat, and if they see a message that ICE is, passing through their block or getting out of their cars on their block or the next block over, they're ready to run out and, videotape, do constitutional observing, blow whistles, let neighbors know that ICE is on the block and it's not safe to come outside.
Activities like these are protected by the First Amendment, but that hasn't stopped federal agents from deploying violence against people who track their movements.
Now, get out of the way. Move your car now. You're obstructing. Get out of the way. Get out of the way.
Patty O'Keefe is a 36-year-old South Minneapolis resident who learned that lesson firsthand.
I live about 8 blocks away from where Renee Good was murdered. And last Sunday, January 11th, I was out patrolling and observing ICE with my friend Brandon when we were violently arrested and detained. When we got on the scene, the ICE agents were getting back into their 2 vehicles. There were a number of people who had shown up by that point, and so they decided to leave the area. So they turned down a side street, and we proceeded to follow them on that side street and continue blowing our whistles and honking our horns. 30, 40 seconds into doing that, they stopped their car, got out of the car, surrounded my vehicle, screamed at us to stop following them, told us we were obstructing them, even though there was no one in front of their cars. We weren't at an active ICE raid even, they could have just kept going forward. And then one of the agents proceeded to spray pepper spray into the front windshield vent of my vehicle. So we got pepper spray in the car, which was, hurt our eyes and our mouths and our throats. And they got back in the vehicles, kept driving. And when we didn't turn around, they stopped the car again, got out.
You can go forward. We are not obstructing. We are not obstructing. You can go forward. You can go forward. We're not obstructing. We are not obstructing. We know our rights.
They broke our 2 front windows and dragged us out, arrested us, and brought us to detention.
Get out of the car.
Yes, sir.
Get the out of the car.
Yes, sir. I'm coming out.
Got any weapons on you? Put your hand behind your back.
Sir, I got passport.
Shut up. Shut the up. Sir, you are under arrest for repeated operations.
I was in the vehicle with 3 ICE agents, and as soon as they all got into the vehicle and shut the doors, they just immediately started taunting me, making fun of me. One of them took a photo of me and showed it to the other agents, and, they were just laughing, insinuated that I was ugly. And then one of the agents, the one who had sprayed the pepper spray into my car, proceeded to say, "You guys got to stop obstructing us. That's why that lesbian bitch is dead," referring to Renee Good.
Do not break.
Other legal observers have experienced physical abuse. A disabled U.S. Marine Corps veteran named Sky suffered bruised arms, hands, and legs after being violently pulled from the driver's seat by federal agents.
Get out of the car. Put the car in park. Get out of the car. Put the car in park. Get out of the car.
지난해 8월 미국
Get out of the car.
You know I'm a Marine Corps veteran.
I don't care what you are.
Others have had their license plates and faces scanned by ICE, with agents even following them to their homes.
ICE is at my house.
This is an intimidation tactic.
Yeah.
Judy and Noah Levy were at their home in St. Paul on January 6th when they got an alert.
Someone from my book.
I think they need more funding, guys. I think that's the best way to fix this. If we give them another $10 billion, that'll help this. That'll fix it. That's your average Democrat. And that's what they did after George Floyd's murder. They funded cops more. That's what they did. That's all they know how to do. Now, I want you to understand something, Chad, that you need to stop fantasizing about a Democratic Party that doesn't exist. Just because there are good people like Summer Lee or AOC or Zohran Mamdani saying the right things, that doesn't mean that's the Democratic Party. Those are the people the Democratic Party hates. That, you know, look what they did to Jamal Bowman or Cori Bush. The Democratic Party is dedicated to defeating the left. Stop thinking Democrats are like AOC or Bernie or Zohran. They're not. In fact, the people that beat Jamal Bowman, the people that beat Cori Bush, they voted to thank ICE. All the Zionist supporters that primaried progressives in 2022, they all voted to thank ICE. Sharice Davids. That was one of the first campaigns in 2018. Sharice Davids was the Zionist faux progressive that ran against a Bernie Sanders endorsed progressive. She won. She thanks ICE now. I thought she was the same. Every single time the Democratic Party supports someone over a progressive, that person voted to thank ICE. 75 Democrats voted to thank ICE. Every single one of them are the true expression of the Democratic Party leadership. And this is what we have to be honest about.
Book Club sent a message on the group chat that, hey, I think ICE is staging in the parking lot of a grocery store that closed down several blocks away. So we drove over, and there were about 8 SUVs lined up kind of tail to tail. Some had plates, some didn't.
They stopped us almost right away.
They stopped traffic. The first car that was behind them was about to take a right-hand turn. They surrounded him. There were like 5 agents that we could see from, you know, several car lengths back where we were. We could hear that they were giving him a really hard time.
No, he's alone.
And then the agents that weren't occupied, the employees that weren't occupied with him, started coming back.
I love how they're walking around in fucking like tennis shoes on ice. Also, where's this guy's ass? His pants are falling down because he has no. What happened to this guy?
And car by car, they took photographs through the windshield.
They're saying, get out of the car, you know, roll down your window.
And we didn't do either thing. We just said, hey, we don't want to talk to you.
I do not want to talk to you. You're in our neighborhood.
You're in our neighborhood.
You're in our neighborhood. I have every right to be here.
I'm driving.
You are in our neighborhood.
I'm driving.
You are in our
After the dude took our phone.
Honestly, Mike, if you know how to walk on ice, the type of shoe isn't too important. I'm in -3 in loafers. Okay, first of all, that's not true. Because you're not talking about like a rink where it's perfectly flat. You have peaks and valleys and ridges. You need to be able to have some sort of grip. If you have a completely flat sole, you're going to slip.
Photographs through the windshield and checked the plate. He came to my passenger side window, just kind of knocked on it and said, hello, Judith. How are you today? What can I do for you, Judith?
I live in the KC area and in Belton, Missouri. ICE is looking at a 10,000 capacity building. They want to turn it into a detention center. The location is concerning for a few reasons. It sits right on the only transnational railway that goes from Canada to Mexico, plus a major highway. There's also a DOE National Nuclear Security Building nearby and heavy Army Reserves presence, 149th and Botts Road in Belton, Missouri. If you want to look into it. Yeah, they're building concentration camps. I'm going to talk about that next. Oh, there was just this Korean news media did a report.
텍사스주 엘페소 외곽에 만들어진 이민자 구금시설 캠프 이스트 몬테나입니다. 2,900여 명이 수용돼 미국 내 최대 규모 중 하나인 이곳은 텐트식 구조물이어서 안전이 우려된다는 지적을 받았습니다.
I think we should be able to get caption translations.
그런데 이곳에서 지난달과 이달 엘페소 외곽에 만들어진 이민자 구금시설 캠프 이스트 몬테나입니다.
Get the captions to work. I don't know, man.
2,900여 명이 수용돼 미국 내 최대 규모 중 하나인 이곳은 텐트식 구조물이어서 안전이 우려된다는 지적을 받았습니다. 그런데 이곳에서 지난달과 이달
That was a do not translate. It's telling me not to translate. This is the languages that you don't want translated.
3일 2명의 이민자가 숨진 데 이어 3번째 사망자까지 나오면서 학대와
Do not threaten me. Do not threaten me.
As I told you, I go by Judy. Nobody calls me Judith unless they've just run my plates. Of course, the next day, they killed someone who was doing just what we were doing. You know, they killed Renee Good. And they've escalated. You know, the violence has escalated, the harassment, the abuse, the beatings, you know, the kidnappings. That every day they're wreaking havoc. They're speeding through the neighborhood. They're causing accidents. They're disappearing people before the police can even get there.
And what we did was legal.
Yeah, what we did was legal.
It was legal to follow them. It's legal to film them. And they were trying to chill that. And I will have to say that was incredibly intimidating.
That intimidation is felt most in Minneapolis's diverse neighborhoods, like the Lake Street corridor, where ICE's crackdown has led many immigrant-run businesses to shut their doors.
My name is Miguel Hernandez, and I'm the owner of Lito's Burritos here on Lake and Bryant in Minneapolis, which is a Mexican-American Chicano restaurant. If there's not a significant change in what's happening here in Minneapolis, like right now, we will lose a massive amount of the community, restaurants. People aren't going to work. You can't keep open hours. You can't pay bills if you're not open, but you're...
What's different between this and the 100-mile border exemption that we've had since the 50s? They've not had the right to just go into people's homes. That was a constitutionally protected zone. Like, you could ask people for documentation near the border. That's different from entering people's homes.
You're risking the safety of staff. You're risking the safety of your family if you continue to work, and those conditions can be stressful. It's really tough to be making tacos and burritos and wondering if someone's going to barge in and just start asking for people's, statuses. It's not a sane way to live. And over, I'm really proud of the community for standing up and fighting back any way they can. And all they're looking for, when I say fight back, is accountability. Accountability, due process, and respect of human rights.
My name is Yudu. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a community organizer and immigrant rights activist with the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee. Folks at all hours of the day, no matter who you are, just being on the lookout in the community. We see, especially in streets that are cultural corridors that have a lot of immigrant-owned businesses, but just people of color who own their businesses. We see people standing on street corners, looking after each other. If there's any suspicious activity or vehicles, reporting it to each other and seeing if there's any license plates that we can bring back that we know are confirmed ICE vehicles, and if there are ICE agents who show up, to immediately alert other rapid response networks, to blow their whistles, to alert the community that ICE is in the area, and ultimately just chase them out and make it known to the community that ICE is here, not only to protect the community, but also to let ICE know that they're not welcome here.
As ICE agents openly use racial profiling to determine who they stop, some of Minnesota's indigenous citizens have been detained, sometimes violently. Chase Iron Eyes is a member of the Oglala Sioux tribe, an attorney and executive director of the Sacred Defense Fund.
I've said nobody is more American than the American Indian. Yet here ICE is executing immigration enforcement violence against the original Americans, the true Americans. And when they're capturing us and violating our rights and illegally profiling us, where are they going to deport us? Where could they possibly deport us? So it is a legal impossibility for ICE to be doing what they're doing to Native American people right now.
Get out. Just get out. Just get out, Beto. Just get out, Beto. Please, they're mean.
There's a Native woman with her nephew, another Native American, driving in Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and they're pulled over and profiled. And probably because they look like us, we look like them. The people that ICE is trying to target, one demographic, are those people who are indigenous to the entire Western Hemisphere.
We're citizens.
Okay, then show your ID.
Get your ID.
Show you what the
We're native. What are you doing?
They pull this family over, and the auntie, the aunt, is doing her best to maintain decorum under those extremely stressful circumstances.
Just get the ID. Get the ID.
She's complying with everything that the ICE officers are stating, and they're asking for her nephew's driver's license. He's driving. He's 20 years old. I have a son about the same age.
Hakeem live, no one has ever rang a bell because Hakeem Jeffries is live.
Never takes his driver's license or his wallet anywhere. So he's having a hard time finding his license. At the same time, ICE is using a facial recognition technology and they're scanning his face, and they begin to beat him, physically attack him and assault him. And this woman, I don't remember her name, but she's looking in to the camera and she is calling out for help.
Let him scan your face. Why'd you hit him? No! Stop! What are you doing? No! Why? My nephew! Okay. Okay. Stop! Okay, back out! Back out! No!
Do not move. Do not move. Do not move, okay?
The violent arm of the state, which is ICE at this time, is staring her down, and they begin to beat her nephew, and she begins to cry. And by the end of it, they scanned his face and found out that he is a United States citizen. I got a call from a councilman from the Oglala Sioux tribe, and he says, "Brother, we're in town, can we meet?" So I go to meet with this certain councilman, and he's not alone. He has 4 other council members that are with him, and they want their tribal members back. They want their tribal members returned. They want the body released. That's habeas corpus. They want these tribal members who are also American citizens to be released. And we proceeded to the detention center because they wanted to gain access to it. And ICE wasn't really, they knew nothing of these men. But we have eyewitnesses that can attest to the fact that they were apprehended by some uniformed personnel. Now, it is absolutely possible that ICE did not apprehend them, but somebody did. So we're continuing the search and we're making progress. What I can tell you right now is that ICE couldn't identify them. I shouldn't say they don't have them because we don't know their names.
On Saturday, a steady stream of mourners visited the intersection of Portland Avenue and East 34th Street, where Renee Nicole Good was fatally shot 3 times by ICE agent Jonathan Ross. They came with flowers and signs of protest.
My name is LK. I'm a teacher from the Twin Cities. Last time I was here was last Wednesday night, the day that Renee Nicole Good was murdered. This is unprecedented. I mean, I have kids emailing me about what's going on and the presence in their neighborhoods and at their front doors, and the very things that keep community going are trying to be torn down, like schools, because kids aren't able to go. They can't go and they can't learn and they can't create, and everybody's in jeopardy. It's not, one type of person. It's literally everybody.
For Democracy Now!, I'm John Hamilton in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Special thanks to John Hamilton. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video.
I think one of things I would say in general is part of the reason we're here is because the Democratic Party downplayed the probability that this would actually happen. One of the main arguments they made, that Kamala Harris made, was that she would be tougher on the border than Donald Trump, and that it would be impossible for Donald Trump to set up a mass deportation force. They tried to argue that Trump wouldn't be as competent as she would be at enforcing immigration law. Now, and part of the reason they did that is because they wanted to increase ICE funding, which they did every single year that Joe Biden was president.
On the border, the choice is simple. Kamala Harris supports increasing the number of Border Patrol agents. Donald Trump blocked a bill to increase the number of Border Patrol agents. Kamala Harris supports investing in new technology to block fentanyl from entering the country. Donald Trump blocked funding for technology to block fentanyl from entering the country. Kamala Harris supports spending more money to stop human traffickers. Donald Trump blocked money to stop human traffickers. Kamala Harris prosecuted transnational gang members and got them sentenced to prison. Trump is trying to avoid being sentenced to prison. There's two choices in this election: the one who will fix our broken immigration system, and the one who's trying to stop her.
I can't believe they lost this election. Wow, I can't believe they didn't have a lot of support among immigrant communities. Wow, I can't believe they lost. And there are people saying she ran as a progressive. They're trying to be like, Kamala Harris ran as a left-winger, which is why we need to move to the right. Progressive compared to Republicans, LOL. No, she wasn't. She was literally trying to say, like, they basically what the Biden-Harris strategy was for immigration is we'll adopt everything that Trump ran on in 2016 and we'll do it. And then so basically they gave the Republicans everything that Donald Trump ran on in 2016 and all their biggest immigration demands of the hardline anti-immigration position from a couple years ago. And the Republicans were like, and Donald Trump called people up and said, no, don't give them a win. Even though the Democrats surrendered on every major point, it was a completely far-right immigration bill. Trump blocked it. So the Democrats couldn't even surrender to the Republicans. Like, that's how, I want you to understand something. That's how ineffective the Democrats are. They can't even surrender to the Republicans. That campaign ad makes it seem like Trump is the more left-wing candidate. LOL, absolutely insane. Well, this is what $2 billion buys you. The very border oh my God, you're using the ad was built by Donald Trump. Heck W. Notice how there's no supporters? No supporters in the comments. None. None. Go look at a Zoran Mamdani video. 107 Days by Kamala Harris, now on tour, 27,000 views. Chad, I want you to understand how bad that is. I have a dog shit YouTube presence. I just posted a video 5 days ago that has 32,000 views. I have barely any presence on YouTube. I have 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. And a video I posted 5 days ago, which was a stream highlight, not even like a produced video. It was just edited clips from my stream, has 5,000 more views than 107 Days by Kamala Harris on her main channel, which has 850,000 subscribers. What an absolute fucking loser.
When I was 5, I began getting sexually abused by my stepfather. I was 8 when he raped me for the first time. And he got me pregnant when I was 12. My life would have been over before it started, and I just want to like pull her.
By the way, the Democrats had a trifecta. When Joe Biden came into office, the Democrats controlled the House, the Senate, and the White House. They could have passed a law codifying Roe v. Wade. Joe Biden didn't want to pressure senators to overturn the filibuster, so they didn't. So Kamala Harris cynically used this poor girl, poor woman, and her trauma, which they say in salacious detail. While they had the power to do something, they refused to do it because they wanted to protect the filibuster, because Donald Trump chat and the Republican Party, they care about the filibuster.
But here is Senator Van Hollen showing some backbone. It's like, it's so obvious. This is such an obvious leverage point and opportunity. Chuck Schumer has literally, I think, like buried himself in a hole. I think Saddam Hussein was more visible at the end of the regime, than where Chuck Schumer is.
Which might be a blessing.
Hiding. Incidentally, you know how Chuck Schumer gets on a Sunday talk show? His people call and say, Chuck Schumer wants to come on. So if he's not there, there's a reason. But here is Van Hollen.
Well, what I'm saying is exactly as you quoted, that I am not going to cast a vote, not one dime, to support this lawless, brutal Trump ICE operation. So what I'm saying is, unless there are significant reforms to rein in this lawless ICE operation, and there was a federal judge that just this week said that ICE agents were violating people's constitutional rights, right? They were preventing them from engaging in protected, peaceful protest. So my view is there has to be dramatic change. I don't foresee this administration doing that at this moment. So I'm saying I won't provide any funding.
I don't hear you saying what I'm hearing from a lot of others in the party and the protesters, certainly, to abolish ICE.
Well, what I'm saying is exactly as you quoted, that I am not going to cast a vote, not one dime, to support this lawless, brutal Trump ICE operation. So what I'm saying is, unless there are significant reforms to rein in this lawless ICE operation, and there was a federal judge that just this week said that
that's just
ICE
repeating
agents
it again.
were violating
Okay.
people.
Look, obviously, we're not going to abolish ICE with this vote.
Yeah.
It's not happening. And the question is, what can Democratic senators, to a lesser extent House members, because they can't really prevent this vote for the DHS. Democratic senators could. What can they do to weaken ICE as it is, received all this funding, as it is gearing up? They're going to it's just going to get worse and worse, regardless of whatever the next city is. It's just going to get worse and worse. What can they do to weaken ICE? Here is what a federal judge in Minnesota, Judge Kate Menendez, ruled. A U.S. district judge. It was a case filed in December on behalf of 6 Minnesota activists. Covered federal agents are hereby enjoined from A, retaliating against persons who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructive protest activity, including observing the activities of Operation Metro Surge. B, arresting or detaining persons who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructed protest activity, including observing activities of Operation Metro Surge, in retaliation for their protected conduct and absent a showing of probable cause or reasonable suspicion the person had committed a crime or is obstructing or interfering with the activities of covered federal officers. They are enjoined from using pepper spray or similar non-lethal munitions and crowd dispersal tools against persons who are engaging in peaceful and unobstructed protest activity, including observing the activities of Operation Metro Surge, stopping or detaining drivers and passengers in vehicles where there is no reasonable articulable suspicion that they are forcefully obstructing or interfering with covered federal agents or otherwise violating 18 U.S.C. paragraph 111. There are ways in which you could say, I'm not going to vote for this unless the agents.
I don't know how to say this, and so I'm going to just say it. The Democrats don't want to stop anything. Like, do you understand that? Like, the Democrats don't want to stop anything. Like, we don't have to do this, like, deep dive into the stratagems that the Democrats could take. They don't want to stop it. We don't need some arcane procedure. The Democrats don't want to stop it. They have enough votes right now that if they voted as a caucus because 2 Republicans just died, that they could probably block it. Like, this isn't because Democrats need to do some arcane procedure. They just straight up don't want to block it.
Are not allowed to wear masks. For my money, that is a very obvious ask, a very easy one for even the most cowardly Democrat to make nationally. But if these ICE officers, these thugs, understood that when they go to their kids' basketball game, everybody's going to be looking around knowing that they're the ICE guy.
Yep.
Remember, Ross had told his neighbor that he was a botanist.
Yep. He told his neighbor he was a botanist for 10 years because he was embarrassed by it. These people should be pariahs. Before they get tried, before they go to jail, before they are brought in front of committees, they should be social pariahs. And the way you get there is to reveal their identities. And so, I mean, this is a simple ask. There's a lot of other things that you could do too, like you can't use pepper spray on people for all of the things that were in this court case. Yeah, but we saw, I mean, I don't think we have it on the sound sheet, but Kristi Noem over the weekend was getting upset because I think it was either Margaret Brent, or whoever it was, one of the anchors on the Sunday shows said Jonathan Ross's name, the killer of Renee Good. And she got really, she said, don't say his name, right? Why is that the case?
I mean, his name is out there publicly. It's because the more that people's names get revealed, the more they will be pariahs in their community, and the more we can have accountability.
Here are folks. Wait, where is that? All right, here's an example of a couple of things. Which one is it? Okay, yeah, here's number 14. Here is what they were talking about in this Minnesota court case. You're going to see, and the person who's recording, she walks back because she's afraid of these ICE people, but you're going to see them go after people who are literally 30, 40 feet away, just blowing a whistle. That's it. Play this. Okay, so they've grabbed somebody out of a car. This woman.
Are you a U.S. citizen? Are you resisting arrest? Gina, what's your name? Help. What's your name, Gina? I'm backing up. I'm backing up. I'm backing up. Is she a U.S. citizen? Are you immigration control? She's impeding. She's not impeding. It's not impeding. It's observing. We're legally allowed to observe. We're legally allowed to observe. She's not impeding. No, she's not impeding.
Now, it's tough to see. There's somebody on the other side of the car. But look, they're going to intimidate that guy with the vest. They sprayed the guy with the vest. He was 15 feet away from the car, and they sprayed him with the vest.
And the wind blows back in the guy's face.
Backing up as you're saying that. We're all backing up. We're not impeding. You were outside of your control.
It's tough to see what's happening on the other side of the car, but they grab somebody else, throw him down the ground. And that guy's whistling, and now they just come after him and start punching him.
She's a U.S. citizen.
Punching this guy.
Goons.
I'm backing up.
They punched him down onto the ground. Wasn't anywhere near anything. And honestly, if there were 10 other people there, they wouldn't have done that.
Yep.
They just looked around and realized, like, there's nobody really here to catch us.
He was near their feelings.
This is also important. There are places of business, we've already said, like, hotels, motels that allow ICE agents to stay there. They should be subject to protests. If you work at one of these hotels, you should get word out. You should be careful about how you do it. You should get word out. Here is a protest taking place at a Target in Minnesota. This is after there's been multiple, after those thugs showed up at a Target. What number is this? 5.
If they approach an observer aggressively like that, are they allowed to swing? Okay, so here's the problem with any of these kind of questions that people will ask me. The answer is, what do you mean by allowed to swing? What do you mean by allowed to swing? Do you mean that in a court of law, a jury of your peers at trial will find you not guilty? Do you mean a prosecutor will not prosecute you? Do you mean that other ICE agents won't attack you and arrest you? Do you mean that it's morally right? What do you mean by allowed? I think this is something that people need to do. You need to stop having fuzzy liberal thinking. You're a socialist now, and we're sharp in our thinking. Allowed is nebulous bullshit. You have to start thinking pragmatically, tactically. You're not taught to think like that in liberal society. So let's think tactically. You are on the street. There's 5 or 6 ICE agents. You are monitoring them. You are blowing whistles. They come at you in an aggressive fashion. You retaliate by escalating the physicality by punching or hitting or striking the ICE officer. Then what will happen? You'll get absolutely jumped. Best case scenario, they jump your ass. Worst case scenario, they start using weapons. So unless you're trying to go up there to be a martyr, that's not tactically a wise decision. Now, legally, they may be violating a bunch of laws. We started the stream explaining how ICE said the Constitution doesn't apply to them anymore. So you need to start thinking tactically. If you are committing violence, it must have a purpose. Now, for me, I would suggest that you don't break any laws because that's against the law. But I would go above and beyond that, and I would think about optics. What does this optically look like? Do I look like a violent criminal? Would liberals support what I'm doing? Now, I don't say that because I'm trying to get you to not resist ICE. I'm just saying that this is your life, and you're asking me a serious question about when is violence justified against state officials? Well, according to the law, it's when they break the law. If you're an American citizen, does that you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the right advice still hold up in this situation? I mean, Chad, I gotta be honest with you. I have a much darker perspective on this than everyone else that's in the left-wing space. I consider any apprehension by ICE to be a dangerous threat to your personal and physical safety in the immediate short term. And I would try to avoid being apprehended by ICE. Because if you are apprehended by ICE, you're definitely going to be at the top of the list of people they're going to go after. I basically consider it to be, I think the best analogy is, imagine you're a cow and you're at a slaughterhouse. Surrendering to the cowboys is not a strategy, but neither is just mindlessly kicking. If you're going to escape, if you're going to resist, you have to trick your captors. You can't make it easy for them to identify you and eliminate you. Think tactically.
They're demanding that Target stop letting ICE use Target property and parking lots, both to question people and to stage. This is the thing. ICE has very few places where they can stage if they are prevented from doing it. They could stage in on federal land, but they can't stage on private property if you tell them they can't. They can't go into the mall parking lot and stage there if the mall ownership or the Target says you can't do that here.
That's why there was controversy in LA about the Dodgers stadium.
Exactly.
Last year.
Here's this protest out in, this is from freedomnews.tv.
We are one. We won't stop fighting. We won't stop fighting. Till ICE is gone. Till ICE is gone.
Target says that their mission is to support the joy of everyday life for all families. Then do it. Then do it.
Do it. Do it. Do it now. Justice over profit. Justice over profit. People over.
I sit here not only as a mother or a grandmother, but I sit here as a great-granddaughter of an immigrant. And I sit here and I ask Target, you must stand with us. You must stop discriminating. You must stop treating immigrants wrong. You must give them better wages. You must give them an opportunity to have housing. You must give them an opportunity to feed their children. I sit here because this is the right thing to do. That's right. That's right.
There's a lot of stuff that, people should be banking this stuff because it's coming to a city near you. They're not stopping. It's like a one-day lull, maybe just in the news. I mean, I think if you're in Minneapolis, it feels very different. This is out of Morristown, New Jersey, ABC 7. This came from January 17th, so just 3 days ago. ICE, like we say, there was reports that there was a couple hundred headed up to Lewiston, Maine. They're in the Hudson Valley in New York. They're in New Jersey right now. Minneapolis, St. Paul, we see, they have 2,500 agents descending on there, but there's still plenty more, and they've got a ton of money.
I was horrified to see this. Morristown, fairly close to where I grew up, but I saw that there were some students that came out in the street. This is a heartbreaking clip, though. I guess there was a father that was taken from this child, and you'll see the child wondering where their father went.
He was taken. A lot of people were taken.
Including, they say, the father of a 6-year-old girl. The child left alone on the street until adults who saw her stepped in.
My sister said, "Do you need any help?" And then she said, my dad was taken. Her dad was taken by immigration, and they left the little girl by herself. She was stranded. They took the dad and left the little girl. That was horrible for her to see that.
In the middle of the target zone sits St. Margaret Catholic Church, where that Sunday, the priests, during a packed mass, were warned of the raid happening at that moment and did what they could to protect those in their congregation.
The majority of our parishioners has papers. We have followed every legal steps. We have come to this country in the legal way, but we are afraid. We are afraid to be picked up, taken away, and being mistreated. And that's what is going on in our minds. And this is not only in our minds, but this is what is going on in this community.
Judy Ashworth has lived in Morristown for decades.
This whole ICE business, it's so cruel, I think, so sadistic, and so scary. What is happening? It's terrifying. I think it's terrifying. You know, they're masked up, they have guns, they're not afraid to use them. It's horrifying. And it really is very reminiscent of what happened in Nazi Germany.
And those two women that we spoke to said that they cut their power walk short today because they realized that one of them forgot to bring along her U.S. passport. They say that is how afraid they are that they have to go around carrying their documents to prove that they are U.S. citizens. Now, we are hearing that there is supposed to be a protest against ICE here at 6 o'clock here in Morristown outside the Hyatt Hotel. For now, we're live here in Morristown. Tony.
So Phil Murphy, the outgoing governor of New Jersey, on his way out just today, vetoed 2 of the bills that would protect immigrants in the state of New Jersey, including one that would limit state law enforcement's collaboration with ICE, state and local law enforcement. Now, Mikey Sherrill, when she ran for governor, had a similar position. Now, she's incoming, but she's shown the ability to be pushed. Towards the end of her campaign in 2024, she had become a lot more aggressive on the issue of affordability.
State moratorium on AI, yeah.
Calling for a...
By the way, the AI shit doesn't... Again, AI. I think the best way to think of AI is like a search engine. A slightly more optimized search engine that does like summaries for you. Like, yeah, then you... That's pretty much it. Where you could use natural language with the search engine, you know, like, but you don't take anything it says as gospel. You go and like click off of it, like, and you go look at the sources it picks up. Like, the fact that we're spending so much for the outcome that we're actually getting is insane. A search engine that lies to you. I mean, I think they're getting better. Well, hallucinations are in search engines too, because a bunch of people post dumb shit. You know that, right? Like, there's a lot of people that are posting outright lies online and the search engines pick them up. To me, that's a hallucination too. It's basically the same fucking thing. You still have to have discernment, whether you're searching on a search engine or using AI. If you don't have discernment, then it's all garbage. I just think AI kind of sucks. And the way AI writes is very fucking, it's just garbage. Mike, your new clip on Billy Billy, 78K views in 7 hours? What the fuck? All right, mods. It's time to start me an account. What the fuck? I can't see the comments because I'm not logged in. Okay, the translation on Firefox is so bad. The translation in Firefox is so bad. That's crazy.
A state of emergency on that issue. Also, as Matt said, tackling energy costs in a more effective manner. She has said that she'd be down to tweak this, or basically, I don't know, this kind of law if it were to come up again. We don't know what those tweaks entail, but I think if you have the opportunity to speak your mind, if you're a New Jersey resident, call Mikey Sherrill's office once she gets into office and say, this is what we want. We want there to be a ban on local law enforcement collaborating with ICE here. Also, especially because Cheryl got into office with a major swings from Latino voters in New Jersey. So this is what her constituents demand. This is about protecting her constituents. Be gone, Goldman Sachs, Phil Murphy. Let's have somebody actually represent people in New Jersey. I'm not saying Mikey Cheryl, Zoran Mamdani, but she can be pressured on this. Call her office.
Pitt from Ohio says, I'm not on social media for mental health reasons. How else can I get immediate info about ICE activity in my area? Go to ICERRT.com. Look for an immigration rapid response group in your area. Get in contact with them, and I imagine they will send out text messages, etc.
Interesting. I'm just noticing that was a Catholic pastor there. David Easterwood, the guy at the Minnesota church.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting to watch how a lot of the Catholic clergy is speaking versus the way that, adult convert conservatives are speaking about this policy. Like, to call yourself a Catholic and to be supportive of ICE's crackdown is fucking insane.
A book on a church that was Southern Baptist Church in North Minneapolis.
This is the website that they brought up, chat, and thank you to the Majority Report. This is ICERRT.com. And if you look up your state, like, for example, if you're like, I want to be part of the ICERRT in Pennsylvania, you got the new Sanctuary Movement, the Center County Rapid Response, the CASA, Asian Americans United, and Vámonos Juntos. There's definitely got to be more than this.
People look up the history of the Southern Baptist Church and how it got the name Southern. It's because they wanted to keep slavery.
Dem Socia, please stop spamming us. There's a Stop ICE rally in Washington, D.C. at 14th and U Street Northwest today at 5:30 p.m. for all those
Mike, don't
in the
say Spanish words. I know. I
DMV
need to
area.
learn
Turn out
Spanish.
if you can. Okay, we've got those 22 IMs that you've sent. That's helpful. Thank you. Solana, hi Sam and Emma. I'm a case manager in California. My experience, many undocumented people becoming totally isolated for fear of leaving the house and being detained. Imagine the psychological toll. California resistance. Sam, good tools for use for ICE activity. IceinMyArea.org and IceOut.org. So those are all tools that people can use. And again, if during the hours of our show or we haven't answered your IM, go to the Discord at majoritydiscord.com. All of this information will be available there. All you got to do is ask somebody. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.
And also, late this morning, we learned about this. Local activist and attorney Nekima Levy-Armstrong was arrested by federal officers for, they say, leading the protest at City's Church in St. Paul on Sunday morning. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem posting this picture of Armstrong's arrest this morning on social media. And according to Noem, Armstrong is in custody under a federal civil rights charge. It's conspiracy against rights. This is a statute that makes it illegal for 2 or more people to agree to injure, threaten, or intimidate a person in the U.S. while they're exercising or enjoying any right protected by the Constitution. Now, Nekima Levy-Armstrong was scheduled to make her first court appearance in federal court about noon today, so we're keeping an eye on that, and we'll let you know how this is playing out. Also, a second person arrested we know of, Chantel Louisa Allen. All we know is she's listed online as a member of the St. Paul School Board, and she is also somebody who DHS says was involved in the incident on Sunday and the disruption at City's Church, and a couple of other names listed in federal court documents in connection to that church protest, including independent journalists Don Lemon and Georgia Ford as well, although it does not appear that they have been charged at this time. And then we're also seeing some reports that the judge has actually refused the Department of Justice's initial attempt to charge Don Lemon. We're seeing that report out there. And then we also just received a statement from City's Church attorneys who, and I'll just read a couple of lines here. The First Amendment does not allow premeditated plots or coordinated actions to violate the sanctity of a sanctuary, disrupt worship, and intimidate small children. There is no press pass to invade a sanctuary or to conspire to interrupt religious services. Goes on to say the arrests and the prosecutions to follow will help ensure that mob aggression like City's Church experience will not be repeated in any other house of worship. So again, those are the attorneys for City's Church in St. Paul, where that incident played out. And you can find that video on fox9.com if you want to read more about what happened.
My general reaction to that, I was thinking, Chad, I'm trying to think. When you use houses of worship in a way that suggests our rights should be trampled, that's necessarily going to attract protests. God is a construct used to create outgroups that justify dehumanization and genocide. I think it has been used by that. Certainly can be used like that, but I don't think that's necessarily the only purpose of it. They are applying the First Amendment to private individuals, but not the state. Sounds like they reversed the first. Was the pastor they were protesting at the service? Yes. Yes, he was.
Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh.
We turn now to Maine, where immigration agents have launched a new enforcement surge dubbed Operation Catch of the Day. ICE Deputy Assistant Director Patricia Hyde told Fox News they're targeting some 1,400 people and have arrested at least 50 so far. Reports of ICE activity have been concentrated in the greater Portland area and the city of Lewiston, Maine's second largest city. Both cities have significant Somali populations. School officials in Portland report attendance is down overall by as much as 20% in some schools. This is Portland Mayor Mark Dion speaking Wednesday.
Our communities feel anxious and fearful. They see this action as unpredictable and a threat to their families. Collectively and individually, we've done everything we can to assure them and that we believe in their right to be safe, and we've tried to direct resources their way.
Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin accused Maine officials of protecting criminals. For more, we go to Lewiston, where we're joined by Safia Khalid, former city council member in Lewiston, Maine, who became the first Somali American to hold that role when she was elected in 2019. She now leads an advocacy group called Community Organizing Alliance, which is responding on the ground right now to the ICE surge. Safia, welcome to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us. Can you talk about what ICE is calling, I mean, the horror of playing on the seafood industry of Maine, Operation Catch of the Day? What's happening?
Yes. Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me. You know, the operation name that they're using is really dehumanizing. It is creating fear and intimidation among our communities. Parents have not been able to pick up their kids from school. They have not been able to go grocery shopping. The streets are completely empty. Downtown Lewiston is completely empty, especially our Lisbon Street, which is our main street area. No one is going to the stores. Restaurants are closed because people are really in fear, and we are urging people to stay home and do not open the door to anyone who they do not know.
And Safia, if you could talk about, for people who aren't familiar with the demographics of Maine, and in particular Lewiston, who's being most directly targeted?
Yeah, you know, Lewiston is home to a large population of naturalized Somali Americans, and, you know, like Minneapolis.
I think one of the things that we're kind of struggling with is that liberals are so focused on procedure that it falls down. Fascists could set up procedures for you, you know, they could set up procedures for you and then just break them arbitrarily. But then what happens psychologically is you get so fixated on, you know, filling out your paperwork and making sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed. That shit doesn't matter. You're living in an arbitrary society. And I don't know about this, chat, but I'm certain that you've made mistakes in filling out paperwork over the years. They could selectively apply enforcement, and that's what they're doing. Doesn't matter that you're a citizen. It doesn't matter that you're naturalized. They'll just say, I don't think you should be a citizen.
In the Twin Cities, he
Did I say
is
dot your T's and cross your I's? Yeah.
targeting Somali Americans, but they're also targeting the larger immigrant population here in the Lewiston Auburn area and the greater Portland area.
And have you heard directly from people who have been targeted? Have you been speaking to people on the ground?
Yes, we are on the ground helping folks. Yesterday, I was, parents called me to get their kids from school because one parent, for example, an ICE agent knocked her door. They're going door to door here in Lewiston, of course, in other parts of the state. But when she opened the door, they said that they were police officers. They didn't identify themselves as a federal agents. They didn't identify themselves as ICE agents. They also had plain clothes too. So they're disguising themselves as regular police officers. And when she opened the door, they immediately arrested her, right? This is an older Somali woman. They arrested her in front of her kids, didn't even let her get her jacket or prepare for anything, and put her in a vehicle and drove away. There's also another woman who was kidnapped from her home. They knocked the door as well. She looked through the window. She didn't see anyone. And then she peeked, she opened the door just a little bit, but they were hiding somewhere, and they immediately grabbed her and took her away. One woman was brought back to her home, but the other woman, we're still looking for her.
A growing number of U.S. citizens have been swept up by ICE as they surge enforcement around the country. I wanted to go to this Somali American from St. Paul, Minnesota, who says she was called a racial slur by an ICE agent before being pushed to the ground. This is Nasra Ahmed, a U.S.-born citizen with no criminal record, detained for 2 days by ICE.
I am proud to say that I've survived ICE. We were both crying together. We were holding each other tight. And I'll never forget, the fear that we both felt in our hearts that day.
She still has bandages on her forehead. And I wanted to ask you, Safia, how do you inform people of their rights when you get this latest information? The Associated Press reporting ICE is asserting ICE officers have the power to forcibly enter homes without a judicial warrant, and what legal experts have said is a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Okay, so it is. Now what? ICE under Donald Trump is clearly violating the Fourth Amendment. Now what? You know what? I can't say what. You know what?
What do you tell people to do as we wrap up?
Well, the thing is, if a white woman was shot in the face, none of us are safe, right? We are trying to really just educate people as much as we can. We're telling people, do not open your doors. And people are scared. They say, I cannot stay home. I cannot not go to work. But we're trying to put some operations and some systems in place. We have partners in Minneapolis and in Chicago and across the country who have seen these attacks in their communities, and they have been tremendous help and a resource to us. So we're learning from our comrades across the country, but it is a frightening and a scary time for all of us, for us to urge people to stay home and do not leave your home. It's a scary time we live in.
I want to thank you so much for being with us. We are going to continue to cover what's happening not only in Lewiston and Portland, Maine, and Minneapolis and St. Paul and beyond. Safia Khalid, former Lewiston, Maine city council member who became the first Somali American to hold that position when she was elected in 2019, now leading an advocacy group called Community Organizing Alliance, speaking to her in Lewiston.
There's a story that I want to cover, but I was thinking about doing it tomorrow, which is the so-called Board of Peace. The story is so fucking insane, what they're trying to do with Gaza, that it's beyond parody. It's beyond parody. Well, let's start talking about it today, but
President
Jesus
Trump
Christ.
is expected to meet with Ukrainian President
Be right back.
Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos. And the president's envoys are set to meet Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Moscow. This is the latest round of negotiations on the war in Ukraine. It has been a busy morning, to say the least. A short time ago, the president officially launched his so-called Board of Peace, 19 nations attended the signing ceremony, but the only European ally present, Hungary's authoritarian leader Viktor Orban. The absence of any other major European allies was notable there. The board was created to oversee the reconstruction of Gaza, though the president has hinted the scope could be much, much wider.
Once this board is completely formed, we can do pretty much whatever we want to do, and we'll do it in conjunction with the United Nations. You know, I've always said the United Nations has got tremendous potential, has not used it.
All right, also this morning, there are new questions about what the president called a framework of a future deal on Greenland. He retreated on his latest tariff threats to European allies, but what was actually agreed to remains a bit vague. Let's get right to CNN's Caitlin Collins, who's been working round the clock in Davos with the very latest. Like I said, a whole lot of activity, but a whole lot of questions.
Look at them all kowtowing to Trump.
And I was just in the president's speech as he was sitting down with the world leaders that we know have signed on to this board of peace. Many of them were either on that stage or represented by some of their top senior aides on stage there. The White House says that they believe about 30 of the 50 countries, 50-ish, I would say, they didn't specify exactly how many people have been invited, but about 30 of those have signed on to being on the board of peace. According to the White House, these invitations, though, just went out last Friday, which is why the White House says you didn't see all of those members on that stage. And though the president says that everyone wants to be on the board of peace and that he's gotten no rejections almost, or very few, we do know that there are several countries that are at least still skeptical of this and have not yet committed to joining. That includes the United Kingdom, France, Norway, several others, Italy as well.
Oh, just a couple countries. Italy, France, and the UK. Wow. Every single major European power that isn't an Israeli puppet? Wow, you don't say.
Not yet said yes to this. One person who has, according to the president, said yes is President Putin of Russia. That is something the Kremlin has not yet confirmed, though they've been talking about using his frozen assets in the United States to pay to be on the board of peace after that first 3-year term is up. All of that is still up in the air, and it's still a big question of what exactly the future of the board of peace is going to look like.
They didn't even invite Germany.
The White House is certainly touting it, and when we were just in the room a few moments ago, we heard not just from President Trump, but from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff as well, who, as you noted, John, are headed to Russia later today. They really focused on Gaza, and quite an ambitious, as far as Jared Kushner going through a PowerPoint basically to rebuild Gaza. And one slide that I saw estimated cost probably about $25 billion. It's not clear who exactly is going to pay all of that $25 billion that they have for their vision of reconstructing Gaza, but that is at least what the president was setting out to do today before he's got these other bilateral meetings with the world leaders, including Ukraine's President Zelensky, who was not initially slated to be here. We did just spot him, though, as he is set to meet with the president soon, John.
Caitlin, as we wait for word on what comes out of that meeting, what is actually known about what kind of deal there is over Greenland, if there is, in fact?
Not a ton of detail. We were waiting for the president last night as he was finishing up meetings here at the Davos Forum. And when he came out, that was when he had announced in the middle of that, after that meeting with the NATO Secretary General, that they had reached that framework. When he came out, we asked for details because it wasn't really clear the timeline, whether or not it still included U.S. ownership like the president has been demanding. All of those were still huge questions here. And the White House says basically that the details will be released.
The Hawks are on her. Mexico, Cuba, oil, Sheinbaum, Trump. Presumably they're backing Sheinbaum. In the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness. There's no way they're backing Trump.
Once it's fully agreed to. So this is still very much a prospective deal, but it has gotten the president to back down off his tariff threat, and obviously as he was ruling out military force in Greenland yesterday, he told me it's an infinite deal that would go on for forever, John, when I asked the president if he still wants to own Greenland, as he has made very clear that he wants to do. So there's still a lot of questions there in terms of what exactly that's going to look like. And I'll tell you, I just spoke to Kevin Hassett, one of the president's top economic advisors here on the sidelines of Davos. He said those details still aren't fully known to him either. And obviously he works in the economic sphere, but the tariff threat that the president had made that relevant to his portfolio. So there are still questions even within the administration of exactly what this deal is going to look like, and of course whether or not it's ultimately agreed to.
Yeah, I suppose I should have been much more careful about even calling it a deal at this point. A framework with a lot of...
The UN is useless, feckless organization because the Soviet Union is gone, man. Like, what do you want? The United States controls it. It's in New York. Its capital is in New York, for fuck's sake. Like, what do you think? Of course it's feckless. We don't even listen to it.
Questions still remaining. Caitlin Collins in Davos, like I said, like a 40-hour day straight for you. Thank you for all the work you're doing there. Keep us posted as there are new developments.
This is the president in Davos, where he has just finished the signing ceremony for the Board of Peace Charter. This is a board that has, at the moment, at least 20 charter members, countries from Jordan, Morocco, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Hungary.
Wow.
And the purpose of the Board of Peace is to oversee the reconstruction of Gaza, promote
Hungary?
stability and peace and governance, and also restore
the fuck is Hungary in
governance
that?
in conflict zones. Which brings us to the next point. The president just now in his comments was asked about Ukraine, which obviously is still mired in its war with Russia. The president said that there may be a meeting with Putin today or tomorrow, that he is still, the U.S. is still interested in working on that particular conflict. I want to add one more thing, which is that this kind of wraps up an interesting 48 hours in Davos, where the president backed away from tariff threats against European allies over his goal of taking Greenland in an extensive speech yesterday, where he said he would not use force. So I want to talk to my panel about all of this, because I think even a few weeks ago, Megan, you and I were like, why is he going to Davos? They're always talking about global elites. What does he want to do there? He's not going to go announce a housing thing or whatever. It has been a consequential couple of days. First, because of that escalation over Greenland, and now because of this conversation over how the war in Gaza will end and whether the Board of Peace, through its investment forward strategy, will do it. Can you talk, I know Axios is there, can you talk about like sort of the reaction to some of any of this from European allies?
I mean, Trump put text to what has been subtext now for a long time, which is that he no longer trusts Europe. And he does not like dealing with Europe. The Board of Peace going around.
Listen, if you're invited to oversee Gaza, I think you have to do it, right? Like, I'd be curious to see what China's going to do or Vietnam's going to do. But if you're getting invited, like, are you going to say no? I mean, I feel like you can join and then leave later and protest and say it's fucking genocide or whatever. I don't know what you do in this situation. Do you leave it in the hands of Netanyahu? I mean, are they putting this shit onto you? Are you lending your name to something? I have to think about this more. Germany said no. I didn't think Germany was invited.
Around Western and most of Eastern Europe.
China already said fuck off.
Was basically a very lengthy, at times subdued lecture of Europe for not doing enough to support NATO, for not, giving him the Nobel Peace Prize, for not
and for not
giving
putting
him
in money
Greenland.
to NATO, not building up their own militaries.
Exactly. There is, and this started from the very beginning when J.D. Vance went over to the Munich Security Conference early last year, when he went and basically said that Western Europe is basically in the midst of social decay. And so you are seeing a huge pivot away from those historic allies, because this administration no longer believes that the relationship as it currently is worth it for the United States.
I want to play for you guys a moment from his speech as he was doing this charter signing for the Board of Peace, which again was developed by the White House to implement the peace plan that the White House helped develop. And he talks about the United Nations as always having had tremendous potential. And if anything, this was, to me, the softest critique I've heard from him on the United Nations. Let me play it for you guys.
I've always said the United Nations has got tremendous potential, has not used it, but there's tremendous potential in the United Nations. And you have some great people at the United Nations, but so far it hasn't. On the 8 wars that I ended, I never spoke to the United Nations about any of them. And you would think that I should have. You would think they could have done those 8 wars, but they couldn't have. And they tried, I guess, in some of them, but they didn't try hard enough. But there's tremendous potential with the United Nations. And I think the combination of the Board of Peace with the kind of people we have here, coupled with the United Nations, can be something very, very unique for the world.
We don't know what in conjunction means, given that the White House has pulled out of many UN organizations and aid organizations. What are you going to be looking for, Megan?
I mean, I think that he's not wrong that sometimes the UN is slow to move on things. It's a very bureaucratic organization. I don't think that means we should just write it off completely, which I don't think he is suggesting.
The funniest thing I've ever heard is that Mexico is authoritarian because they let people vote for judges. It's authoritarian to have democratically elected judges. Meanwhile, most states in America have democratically elected judges. Scheinbaum's Cuba policy is testing Washington's patience. Supporting Havana's murderous regime could carry real costs in trade talks and security ties. Today is a day where I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself that I did not get banned.
Here either.
And I think the European allies agree with you because they're not at the Board of Peace and they've raised a lot of questions about how is this going to work.
Well, I mean, I don't think that they're at the Board of Peace because I don't think that they find it a serious operation or organization. So I think that's probably why they're not there. And also they are tired of being embarrassed and shellacked by the president for no reason after Greenland, and he just continually embarrassed them. So I'm sure that's also why they're not there, and they're also not going to give $1 billion. So I just think that it's just an interesting, I don't think we can create our own UN. I don't think that we have the standing in the world to do that at this juncture. I do think that there needs to be some more emphasis on what the UN's mission is and goal is and try to make it less bureaucratic.
All right. I'm gonna call it there, Chad. Just absolute idiocy. I can't. The United States of America. The reason why the United Nations is not functional is not because of bureaucracy. Because the United States of America blocks it and overrides it constantly. All right, everybody. I am done for today. Thank you for supporting the stream. I'm fucking exhausted. I've been doing so much stuff off stream as well for all of you people. I hope you enjoy it when it comes out. Thank you so much for all the support. I'm sending you over to Vio. I think Vio is doing a deep dive on the Lakari situation and the Marvel Rivals drama. We're getting some of the most important stories of the Twitch space. The Marvel Rivals drama. Yeah, apparently there's a huge, like, what I would call misogynistic hate mob going after a creator who admittedly kind of acted like a dick. But there's such a weird tendency in Twitch wherever a woman kind of acts like a dick, it is, or you know, in a way that I don't agree with, it opens the floodgates for the biggest overreaction in the history of the planet. And I think that is actually something that's really interesting to talk about. All right, Comrade Nipsko, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Anyway, stay safe out there, chat. Here's all my links. Make sure you go to the YouTube and watch the video. Peace.